Hello there, Comic Clan, and welcome to Comics in the Cross, the greatest streamers you have never heard of. I, of course, am one of your hosts as always, Cross, and I am not joined by Nitro this week. He is out of town, still celebrating Thanksgiving, so hope he is having an absolutely phenomenal time with the family. But I do have a very special guest with me today. We are joined by Kaleb from Mountain Nerds Twitch channel, or Mountain Nerds podcast. Kaleb, how
What's
are you
up?
doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Cross?
Doing good. Thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah,
All
thanks
right.
for having me.
I'm going to be messing with this light so much during the show today. For anyone that doesn't know, I got like a new light, and like it is so, like legitimately, like if you can see me now, this is a light I was working with before, and I turn it on, and it's like a sun appears in my room. So I'm going to be messing with that as we go. So if you see my lighting going weird, everyone, it's okay. I know what I'm doing. Honest,
Look,
I'm a
look, Cross,
professional.
I'll join you here. You see?
It's like it's
Oh,
okay. We're professionals. We know what we're doing. We're professional podcasters. We can do this.
professionals.
But thank you so much for joining me today, Caleb. This has been a
Yeah.
long coming podcast. Trying to get you on the show has been insane. Because every time I get you like penciled in to come on the show, something happens, and we usually end up cancelling the show for that day because something has came up.
Oh my goodness.
I think we've been trying to get Caleb on the show for a good couple of months now, at least. But finally, the stars aligned, everything fell into place, and you came on today to talk to us about Titans. A show that
Absolutely.
have been very prominent in talking about. You even wrote an article for our friends over at the Infinity Bros for their daily snap regarding it. And it's a show that I recently just started getting into. Like, when I started watching it, like, they were halfway through or so, or maybe just at the very beginning of season 3. So, like, I binged the start of it to get caught up and stuff. So, I've been looking for someone to chat to it about, because Nitro's a few episodes in, he's not got far in it. So, I've been looking for someone to talk some Titans with.
Oh yeah, it's definitely one of those shows that, and I'll be honest with you, I watched the first episode and was like, I don't really care for this show. Left it alone for probably a good, I don't know, probably a good couple months, and then had nothing to watch. I said, all right, let me go back and give it a shot. Got through that first episode, watched like 2 or 3 more episodes, and I was hooked.
Yeah.
Like I kept watching it because it got better and better and better as it went along.
It's a really intriguing take on the DC heroes. It really is. It does its kind of own thing with the Titans. Um, it does do this thing though that the DC really has a thing of we're dark and edgy and gritty, and everything they do ends up being dark and edgy and gritty. But like this show legitimately is. Like this show is not for kids, not for teens. This is like full
Not at all.
blown like adult show. Um, I've never heard so many superheroes cussing so much and stuff like that.
Update.
Thank you
Someone
for the
has
host.
hacked your transmission and is sharing it with their
No
community.
worries.
Thank you for the
Thank you.
host, Caleb. We appreciate it. But yeah, so if you go to check out Titans, just be aware we are reviewing this show. We are fans of the show in general, but it is not a family-friendly show. Not even close.
Not at all.
So, yeah, so before we delve into the show and into the full aspects, so for anyone who is listening or anyone who's watching and doesn't know who you are, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, Caleb, and a little bit about what you do and
Yeah.
your life, and just, brag about yourself for a few minutes.
Well, my name is Kaleb. I am a Data 3 and a podcaster as of last year. So I started the Mountain Nerds podcast back in March of 2020. However, we were known as Life and Trails until about October. I've told this story about 100 times, so I won't get into too many details, but we rebranded. And yeah, our podcast is all about, we bring people in, we interview on various geeky subjects. Currently, it's me and my co-host is Cameron Metrojon. He is like the master of movies. If you ever want to talk anything about films, talk to this guy. He knows what he's talking about. He actually does. He reviews movies as well. He's his own like an independent movie critic, which is great. Met at the movies. Check him out. But yeah, I've been doing this for a while. We started our streaming back in October 2020, and I've been doing it ever since. We play just a variety of different games right now. I'm really bad about playing different games every stream, and I'm like, I want to pick a game and play it and just keep playing it. So I have a PlayStation coming in. So if it comes in soon, I'm going to be playing Spider-Man. That is my the Spider-Man remastered, which I am excited about. But yeah, our podcast is just every week we do something a little different. We do a lot of spoiler cast. I actually just interviewed Scott Higa from I almost said Comics in the Cross. Scott Higa from The Christian Nerd. And we talked to Ted Lasso. We did a Ted Lasso spoiler cast, which will be out on Friday.
Nice.
But yeah, Cross has been on the show where we've talked comics. I've interviewed several people. Frostbite, where we did our Hybrid Hero series, which is always fun. It's one of my favorite things that we do. But yeah, give us a follow, check us out.
Yeah, absolutely. We completely, fully recommend going and checking out Mountain Nerds podcast and going and checking the Mountain Nerds Twitch channel. Kaleb is a good friend of the channel. He's a good friend of ours. You might not have seen his face as often, but you've definitely heard his voice if you've been following his channel for any length of time. Generally, if we're playing co-op games and getting into some sort of trouble and chaos and Apex or Sea of Thieves or something, Kaleb is usually involved.
Me and Jay have been getting scared.
Yeah, and you've been playing Phasmo with Jay as well. That's right. Which some of the best clips I have ever created for this channel. I go through the videos trying to find some clips when there's good stuff happening, and I got a ton within like the first 30 minutes of like watching the first Phasmo stream back of just Kaleb freaking out and Kaleb doing a Cajun accent, which was interesting.
I did. I'm originally from South Louisiana, so it's okay. I can do that.
So check out our clips if you want to see that. But yeah, so Kaleb is a good friend of the channel, and like I said, I've been trying to get him on for ages. He was on, I don't even know how long ago it was now. Last time you were on the podcast was
I think we
talking
talked
Falcon Winter Soldier, I think was the last time you were on.
Yes.
Which is like, how long ago was that? Like, that feels like forever ago.
The summer, I think that was the summertime, right?
Yeah, that was like back in the summer, so like we're talking at least over 6 months probably since Kaleb's been on. But I thought the opportunity to get into Titans was too much. Before we get into that though, another show did drop this week. Have you had a chance to check out the new Disney Plus Hawkeye yet?
Yes, it's pretty good.
No in-depth stuff for it, but basic.
Yeah.
What do you think of Hawkeye?
First 5-10 minutes, I was like, okay, it's good. And then I started watching more and more of it. And I was like, okay, I'm liking it. And by the second episode, I was like, give me more.
Second episode sold it for me. First episode was good. Second episode was like, I'm here for this. I'm here for a whole season of this. Like it reminds you of how much you love Hawkeye. Like I love him as a character, and I'm not gonna lie. Like when it kicked off at first, I was very scared. Like I thought they were going to do with Kate Bishop. There's this tendency they have now with female characters. Because they're really pushing equality for female characters, which they should be. We should be getting some amazing female characters. Marvel especially is full of them. It's full of phenomenal female characters that should be getting the spotlight. I thought they were going to Captain Marvel her.
Yeah.
Because I was terrified she was going to be this perfect, can do everything, strong female, and they were going to leave it there, which FYI Hollywood, that's not a personality trait. Them being perfect, having no infallibility to them, and just being amazing at everything with no other personality is not an engaging character.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that's what Captain Marvel was, and I'm saying this as someone who enjoyed some of the Captain Marvel comics. I've seen her at her best in the comics. That is not her. And I was so scared they were going to turn Kate Bishop into that and take Hawkeye, this amazing character, and basically turn him into the bumbling goof. Which I'm like, I'm fine with him having elements of that to him, but at the same time, like, as they thankfully went into the show, like, this guy freaking was Ronin. This guy was, like, trained as a SHIELD agent. He was one of the best of the best. But by the time we got to the end of episode 1 into episode 2, all of that was a leave. The characters are fun. They're enjoyable. Both are relatable. Both are great to be around. They've made some great connections. They build up some great intrigue, and I'm really hyped for the rest of this season. I fully enjoyed the first couple of episodes of this.
I'm eager to know where this show is headed. Like, it's gonna be fun. So far, it's been a blast so far. And, like the little things that they've introduced have been fun. and I'm eager to see like more and more of that. It's not now. I will say this, Cross. It is not my favorite Marvel show. I mean, so far, I think for me personally, Loki is my favorite. Like I just really enjoyed that show.
Loki
But
was a
it is-
phenomenal show, and
It is up there for sure.
yeah, I'm a big fan of Loki, and WandaVision still holds a really good
Yes.
place for me. Like they still blew me out of the water. Like you could literally ask me on a different day, and I would say WandaVision's my favorite over Loki, depending how I feel. Like the two of them are both up there as phenomenal shows, but this is definitely up there as one of the best ones they've done. This has definitely got the potential to be an amazing show, and I'm just glad that Hawkeye's getting the opportunity to shine.
Oh yeah.
He's getting the opportunity to show who he is, how good he is, and just to enjoy it. You know, it's because he's a great character, and he's really the only of the original Avengers who's not had the opportunity to shine.
Yeah, he's
so-
kind of been put on the back burner for the longest time. But
So I'm glad he's getting that opportunity, and really interesting thing as well. I'm intrigued to see where they go with it. I'm interested that they're including his disability now. They basically
Yes.
made him deaf, like he is in the comics. He's a deaf archer, which is something
like
that
how
was.
I love how they explain it too.
Yeah, it's like how did that happen? Is like boom, smash, crash, boom. It's like I don't know. It could have been any number of things, you know.
It wasn't a simple like something crazy. It was just a series of
Just
explosions.
constant like stuff that he's been involved in has just eventually damaged his hearing. Which can I just say as well? I love the fact that it's not spoilers for it because they've shown it in commercials and stuff. That he goes to see Rogers the musical.
Oh yeah.
At the beginning of the first episode, and he turns his hearing aid off. He's like he's done, so he turns his hearing aid off. And I love that his daughter calls him on it like, "You just turn your hearing aid off?" No, I'm just just fixing it. But absolutely awesome. So we will of course be doing a review of that on the show here when it finishes. Probably won't be getting that until the new year because it's probably going to go up through to end of December, I believe. But yeah, we'll definitely be talking about that at some point on the podcast. But yeah, it's like I'm excited to see where they go. Like Marvel has just they've blown me away with their TV shows. Like every time I'm thinking stuff shouldn't be, like I don't know how I'm going to take it. Like they always come out with something awesome. They always do something phenomenal with it. So anyway,
Oh yeah. It's great. I'm excited. I'm also excited about the other little things that they have upcoming too. It's like I want to know how long are we going to get TV shows for? Are they just going to keep? I think they're just going to keep putting these things out until.
I think I'm
they're
glad that they're
bored.
finally doing them. Until they get done, I
Yeah.
think there
And
are
doing
certain
them right. Doing them right. Looking
Yeah.
at you. What is it? Iron Fist.
No, not looking at you, Iron Fist. Not even looking in your direction. Now, you go away. Go away. Go sit in the corner and think about what you didn't do.
Those shows were.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a couple good ones, but
There's been some awesome shows
Daredevil.
like Daredevil, for example, stole it. I was a big fan of Punisher. It's like they've done some good shows in the past, but we kind of seen where it was going when they tried to do Agents of Shield, and they kept talking about how it was integrated to the MCU, and then it clearly wasn't. They were clearly just doing their own thing and responding to the MCU. Like whatever the MCU did, they kind of responded and had to go with it.
how are you going to do an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, even have that show, when literally the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like the whole thing, like, so, what was it, Winter Soldier, just makes it
End of
done.
season 1, Winter Soldier happens.
It's like, all right, that wasn't really
S.H.I.E.L.D. is
planned.
still happening in the background, and so is Hydra, and I was like, no, because that basically means Winter Soldier was pointless and didn't actually do anything and didn't accomplish anything, is what that means. It's like, no. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. we're just going to brush under a rug, and we're just going to... Coulson died in Avengers, the rest of it is just like a dying fever dream he had while he was sitting on the floor, and, we're just going to move on from it. But these shows are properly invested and properly connected. Like, Wanda's going to be showing up in, like, Doctor Strange 2. Anthony Mackie is going to be showing up as Captain America for Captain America 4. It's like Loki is invested in the multiverse. We got the introduction, or at least the idea of Kang the Conqueror, who's showing up in Ant-Man and the Wasp. They're starting to sow seeds in these shows that are like, this is part of what's going on. So like these shows, I think, will be around as long as they work, and I think comic books honestly work. At least superhero comics can work as a show better, because the whole point of them is being like an an episodic thing, like issue by issue, you build up to something.
Mm-hmm.
So when done right, it can be used really effectively. And
Yeah,
it doesn't hurt their budget is about the size of the movies as well.
The one I think, the most looking forward to. See, I was kind of going back and forth between She-Hulk, but I think I'm really looking forward to Miss Marvel. Like, ever since I played the Avengers game, I'm like, I want to know more about this character.
She is a great character, and I'm so glad they're giving her a show. It's like, it's going to be phenomenal to kind of flesh her out. And it doesn't hurt as well that the actress literally looks like Kamala Khan from the comics. Like, she literally looks like she's been ripped right out the pages of the comics.
Oh, it's fantastic. I'm very much looking forward to that one.
Yeah, honestly, I think the show I'm most looking forward to, just because it's I'm enjoying them doing different things with the shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very excited to see what they do with Moon Knight. A big part of that is because Oscar Isaac is playing him, and he's a phenomenal actor. But Moon Knight is so far out there from a character that they've done before. They've never done anything like Moon Knight, really. You know, the closest they've came is probably like when Netflix did Daredevil, but even then you've got the whole other, like, you know, mental health issues and multiple personalities and all this going on with him. I'm really intrigued to see how they do it and how they bring it to the screen. So that's the one that's probably at the top of my list of seeing what they do with him.
Yeah. That one is going to be fun. I know Jarrett from the Infinity Bros has been talking to me about it. Like, he's been talking about that forever, but I know we've had conversations about Moon Knight before, so
yeah, Nitro is hyped for it as well. He keeps rambling on about it. He's so hyped, but there are a lot of great shows coming out, and I'm excited for it. And to use that as our transition point, then we're not getting quite as many TV shows coming out of the DC side of things. At least not as many that are being highly praised. But overall, Titans seems to be hitting the right mark with most people. Most people that have watched it seem to enjoy the show overall.
Well, Cross, I'll go along with that in saying I think the whole CW verse that they got on the Arrow, that put in my opinion, it put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. For me, I liked a lot of these shows. I loved Arrow up until about season 3 or 4. I loved The Flash up until around the same. Supergirl first couple seasons, great. Legends of Tomorrow, fine. Like, it just got to a point where they just drag them out, and it's very campy and not fun anymore. And I felt that way with a lot of those shows. Like, at some point I was like, I'm just done. Like, I'm done with Arrow. This is not even every season Oliver Queen doesn't want to be the Green Arrow anymore. Okay, I get it. Like, we do that. The Flash, it was every villain is a speedster almost. You know, it was getting to that point where I was like, all right, I'm kind of burnt out with this. So I could kind of see if DC's kind of hesitant about putting a whole bunch of shows out there, but I will say Titans is pretty successful, and I only watched a little bit of Doom Patrol. I do know that Doom Patrol is set in a different multiverse as Titans, which kind of threw me off at first.
Which is really weird because, like, the pilot for Doom Patrol is in, like, the first season of Titans. Like, that's how they find Beast Boy, is that they meet Doom Patrol.
Yeah, it's super confusing. I was like, I don't understand why we're doing this, but okay.
Yeah,
but,
it's like, we'll go with it. Why not?
I would love to see more good DC shows. I really hope that Titans isn't gonna fall into that same we're season 4, 5, and 6, and it's like, okay, this is where I'm over it. But I do like how our villains so far are falling in line with the comics, and we're getting, especially like the old TV shows too. I'm assuming this is full spoilers for the first couple seasons.
Yeah, so for anyone listening and popping in, this is going to be full spoilers. We're going to be doing a little bit of season 1 and 2 and a bit of in-depth to that, and then we're going to go full into season 3 because that's the most recent one. So we are going to go full spoilers, so if you're listening in, you know what's coming.
Yes.
Yeah, go for it, full spoilers.
The first season, how the build-up was, and I do apologize, I forget the name of Rachel's dad.
Trigon.
Yes.
Trigon,
we have that
demon.
Which, by the way, let me point something out here. Did you think that it was odd how the most if you watch any TV show, the trope is start at the end, they beat the bad guy, that's the end of the first season. We did not get that in this show. We got
Do you know what I was
carried, and then season 1 of episode 2 was the ending of that story arc, which I was like,
Yeah.
this is really weird, but I
Do you
kinda
know what
like
I
it.
think happened? And I don't know, I need to check the timeline for this. I'm wondering if after season 1 was when the reins were handed over to HBO. Because remember, it used to be part of DC Universe.
It looks like DC Universe still had it for season 2, and HBO got it for season 3.
Because my feeling is, I honestly feel like Trigon was meant to be the big bad for season 2. And I feel like somebody came to them with the note saying, yeah, let's get away from the demon stuff and get more to the kind of, let's make this more like Batman. That's what we need to do. We need to make it more Batman. So we need a villain that's kind of like Batman that can fight like that. So we need to get rid of the big bad demon there. Because basically what you can do is watch season 1 and then season 2, episode 1, and that's your full story arc.
Yeah.
Because you've got like that, you've got the coming of Trigon, who, by the way, completely threw me, the actor that was playing him as well. Because all I could think watching that was, hey, you were in Castle. You were one of the cops in Castle. That's where I knew him from, and that's all I could see in my head. I'm like, I could not see threatening demon from him at all. And then we got to episodes 1 of season 2, and Rachel beats him like that.
Yeah.
Sends him back like that, and then he is gone, and then like at the end of episode 1 is like, hey, you know, we're going to go to the Titans Tower, and we're going to go to San Francisco, and we're, you know, going to set up shop here. And I'm like, wow, this feels like a season ending.
Yeah.
This feels like I feel like there was an episode that they forgot to add on to season 1, and they kind of had to push it in at the end.
Should we have done the season finale?
Should we have done the finale at the actual finale? Maybe that would have made more sense.
We'll push it to the next one. But I really enjoyed, like I said, it took me a little bit of time, but then they started, I don't know, it started getting really interesting because we really saw Dick Grayson trying to get away from the whole Robin thing, he was trying to separate himself from Bruce. He was like, I don't want anything to do. We're not cool. And then you really see that, and then he starts to form the team. And I will also say I'm a little, and I won't say it has nothing to do with race because it's totally fine, not a big deal. Before I started watching this show, I saw the episode of the character of Starfire and like some of the trailers and promotional stuff, and I was like, ooh, I don't know about this. I just don't know. And once again, nothing to do with race. It's more or less like the way the character, I
know she can be sexually provocative in some of the comics.
Exactly. I was trying to
like,
find a nice way not to say.
Like in the comics, she can be a bit sexually provocative too, but she legitimately looked like a hooker.
Thank you. I didn't want to say hooker on
like
your show.
like legitimately though, she did. Yeah. She literally was wearing skimpy outfits, the big coat over the top, and I'm like, oh my goodness, if you had like an image in your head of like a hooker on a street corner, the most over the top vision you could think of it, like she literally filled that, and I was like, oh, what are we doing? No.
I was like, yeah, I don't know, but I will say her character really developed over the first season, and her character was awesome. Like, I love Starfire, big fan, like, great. Give me just one quick second, so sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Excuse me, I am burping like crazy off of that. But yeah, it's like, that was the thing. For anyone listening, I'll keep talking a little bit. But yeah, like, her look was very, very different.
So sorry about that.
No worries.
My our baby monitor was on and our child was screaming, so.
Oh, awesome. That's what you want in the background of a podcast.
Exactly, just screaming and screaming and screaming. But
yeah, they took an interesting take with her character in season 1, but as she started to develop the character, it started to come out a lot more, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Which is interesting because even across the 3 seasons, like, she's different from like Starfire. If you read the comics, Starfire is very happy and bubbly and perky, and you know, I don't want to say like the sweet ditzy girl, but that sort of like personality trope almost is kind of how she's seen a lot of the time. And they really kind of changed her character a lot in this, but it works for the show. And made her a bit more of a stronger co-leader sort of thing along with Dick.
Which, by the way, can I go ahead and say the casting for Dick Grayson was
Oh yeah, he's spot on. Like I look at him and I'm like,
perfect.
yeah, that's he literally looks like Dick
Perfect.
Grayson.
I
He
mean, that was
legitimately looks like Dick Grayson.
like to a T. They couldn't have done any better. And I will also say I do like what they did with Beast Boy, the way his look is with the green hair. I was kind of confused though. I was like, this is Beast Boy, but all he could turn into is a tiger. Like, come on. And then towards the end, we saw, I think he was it a snake? I think he became a snake at the end of season
Yeah, it's like,
one.
I think he
Or
tried
the
to.
story one, the story arc. I should
Yeah,
say.
he started to turn into something else, and then later on we get like at the end of season 3, he turns into a bat and stuff, and so it's like they're starting to like, okay, his powers are growing, he can turn into other things, which I was like, I'm glad they're finally doing that because for a long time it was like he can turn into a tiger, and I'm like, if you can't do the budget for him, don't put Beast Boy in the show. You know what his
Yeah.
thing is turning into animals. If you don't have the CG budget for it, don't do it.
Yeah. that was kind of like, I was like, all right. Now let's go to I think the actor that played Deathstroke. Phenomenal.
He was amazing.
Phenomenal. One of the best incarnations of Deathstroke that I've ever
He
seen.
was a really good portrayal of him. He done it really well in the style of Deathstroke as well, especially how they were playing it of the Deathstroke that we seen was the angry Deathstroke after the death of his son and all this sort of stuff. Like you really felt what he was going through. But
yeah.
the casting for the show is phenomenal. Like just
It's great.
the villains like Deathstroke were cast phenomenally. The Titans himself, like Ryan Porter is Gar and Beast Boy. Is it Tegan Croft that plays Raven and Rachel?
Yes. Yeah. It's Tegan Croft.
She's phenomenal, and her character really comes out into her own as the seasons progress. Like
Especially
season
in
1
the
and 2,
the latest season. she's great. I mean,
for the whole 3
absolutely
episodes
great.
that she's in it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but it's the casting. I mean, literally throughout the entire series, fantastic. Now, I was honestly, I don't know too much about Superboy, but I was like, do we really need Superboy in this series?
I
don't know.
I think he was done well because the interesting thing with Superboy, because like I know you're not a big Superman fan, and we've talked about this week
Yeah.
pretty much actually, but I think that's the interesting thing with Superboy is a lot of the stuff that you're talking about with Superman is kind of null and void with him, because
Yeah.
although he is big and he's strong and he's fast and he has all these powers, he is very fallible. He is very human
Yeah.
as well. He is half human, half Kryptonian. So he is very much a wounded character as well, and a young character. They're playing up the fact of because there's 2 versions of Superboy. There's the original version who was like the guy with like the leather coat and the side parting for the 90s and stuff, who had the cool guy attitude and stuff. And then when they rebooted him, they really rebooted him into this kind of angry, stern sort of character. But there's been other iterations where they've tried to humanize him more. Like one of the versions is in Young Justice. If you ever watched the Young Justice cartoon, they take that angry, stern Superboy and really humanize him. And I feel like they did the same in the show with this. The portrayal of Superboy in this was done really well. Like they really humanized him and really made you feel connected to him. And really felt like, yeah, he is learning and he is growing and he is an asset to them, but also he has got liability issues. Like when we first see him with Beast Boy, he sees people getting, into a conflict with the police and he thinks he's helping. He jumps in to try and help and starts like throwing the police about. Because no one's taught him that police are good guys and they're meant to be doing this job and, they're actually helping people, and so they get caught up in this whole big thing with it, and it's like it makes the character have this new level of intrigue to her. To him, sorry, and it's like I think he adds a little bit to it. I think it's interesting. His story arc will be interesting to see where they go going forward.
No, I like how they also brought in Crypto too.
Yes.
Got to bring in Crypto.
Crypto's amazing.
Crypto. As much as I don't like Superman, I do love Crypto.
You want to make me like a character, bring in their dog. It's like automatically like, why do we like Superboy? He has a dog. You can't not like him.
It's awesome. A dog that shoots lasers out of his eyes. It's amazing. Can't get any better than that.
Assuming you're excited for the DC Super Pets, League of Super Pets
Yes.
movie then.
Yes. I was a big fan. I love any of the DC Super Pets.
Dwayne the Rock
it
Johnson is Crypto.
Was it Ace?
Ace the
With
Bat Hound,
Batman?
yes.
Yeah. Big fan. Big fan.
But yeah, he's an interesting addition to it. I think Superboy's an intriguing addition to them, and he is a big part of like the Young Justice and Teen Titans, so I'm glad they included him.
Mm-hmm.
One of the interesting things, I think, if we start kind of taking it kind of like season by season now, just to kind of delve in a little bit as we go, and there's obviously more characters, and we'll hit them as we go, because some of the characters I want to hit on, we get introduced to them really intriguingly, because when we hit season 1, the Titans are done.
Yeah.
The Titans are a thing that had happened, and it was long and done, and it was, Dick Grayson as Robin, then we had Donna Troy, Wonder Girl, who shows back up, Hawk and Dove, who, phenomenal characters as well, who show back up.
And Aqualad.
Later on, we get introduced to Aqualad Garth, and his, passing and demise at the hands of Deathstroke that we learn in season 2. And we kind of find, like, how everything fell apart, and they went their separate ways and stuff, and so we're really thrown into a world of Titans where we are building a new Titans team. Like, Dick Grayson's done. He's done being Robin for the most part. He's done working with Batman. He's now working as a, detective. And is drawn back in because of Rachel. This girl who doesn't know what's going on with her, and these dark powers and beings and people hunting her and coming after her and her mother.
Skeet Spot update.
Hey,
Someone
thank you
has
so much,
hacked
Ads, for
your
that host. I
transmission
appreciate it,
and is
brother.
sharing it with their community. Thank you.
How are you doing, Ads? Thank you so much for coming in and dropping that host. But yeah, so we really get like this. Basically, for the whole of season 1, Dick Grayson is doing the whole thing of like, I don't want to be in a team. I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to.
Don't want to do it. Yeah.
And seems to just keep picking people up as he goes. Like, because he starts off with Rachel, and then they bump into like Starfire, who's lost her memory, doesn't remember who she is. Rachel finds Gar, which is we get the episode introducing the Doom Patrol. And then like they obviously go off and have their own TV show and do their own thing over there, and Gar goes for the Titans, and Dick starts asking for help with the other Titans, so we start getting introduced to like Hawk and Dove and Diana, and
by the end of that, by the end of it, that cast was like, I was almost overwhelmed with the amount of Titans there were.
Yeah, there's tons.
Oh my goodness, so many people right now.
Yeah, because you've got the old Titans and the new Titans, and Jason Todd as well, because we get introduced to the new Robin, so we're playing off the whole dynamic of, we get Dick Grayson's whole thing of like, I don't want to be Robin anymore. How dare you dress up as Robin? I'm Robin. As well.
I don't want to do it. Like, you can't do it either.
Yeah. There's like this whole thing with it. Which, can I say, by the way, like, we'll get into the casting for Jason Todd and stuff as we go into the Red Hood side of things, because we both got thoughts on that. He's the perfect casting choice for Jackass Jason as Robin. That is exactly what his version of Robin is meant to be like. And he was cast perfectly for that. I do not think it translates when he becomes Red Hood, but we'll get into that.
Very punchable face.
He really does. He's like every scene he's in, I just want Dick to just beat the crap out of him.
Such a jerk. But so I'm not familiar. I never really read too much of Jason Todd in the comics. Was that his character? Was he this little brat?
Oh yeah, he was a punk street kid that Batman literally found him trying to steal the wheels off the Batmobile. That was literally how he got introduced to Jason. He found him like trying to steal the wheels off the Batmobile, and like as you do, it's like. But that was his whole thing. Like, he was cocky and he was arrogant and he was full of himself. But he was the broken heart kid. He came from a broken family. He came from abusive parents. He came from all of this stuff. So like, it was all showmanship, trying to prove how tough he was and how good he was. And
I just think back to the scene where he beats the crap out of the cops, but he goes like really hard. And he just keeps like just hurt, like he's doing it to be mean.
Yeah, he's doing it to hurt people, and it's that whole adage of, you know, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
Like, Jason Todd is a hurt person. He is a broken kid when Batman takes him in. And that's the thing, like, whereas, like, Dick Grayson is Batman's, like, greatest achievement, because if you look at Nightwing, the whole thing of Nightwing is meant to be, Nightwing is Batman if it was done right. If Batman had worked through his trauma, had came out of it as a good, strong, put-together person, he would be what Nightwing is. And so he's Batman's greatest achievement. He looks at Dick as he managed to save the kids like he couldn't be saved.
Yeah.
Jason Todd is his greatest failure.
Yeah.
The kid he could not help, he could not get back on the right track, and then he let die at the end of the day.
Definitely haunts him through most of season 3.
Yeah. It's like that's the thing. The two of them are like the opposites of like his greatest achievement and his greatest failure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that thing of like that Batman is like, you know, I always think about it like when we were talking about the whole Superman thing, like Batman literally quotes himself at one point saying the fact of, you know, the difference between like Superman, he could do all this amazing stuff and he could, you know, he could literally rip me in half if he wanted, he says, but deep down, Clark won't because he's a good person. And deep down, I'm not. Like, Batman is not a good role model. He is not a good mentor to raise broken boys and make them better.
Especially in this multiverse. In this multiverse, he is a jerk. He's a bad Batman.
Yeah,
now, what did you think of that? Let me ask you this, Cross. What did you think of the actor that portrayed Batman? And this is probably one of those rare cases in this show where I was not a super fan. I was like not hot on the Bruce Wayne casting.
I think they did well with the casting. The thing was, it's hard to like how to portray it, because I think looking at him, I'm like, he portrayed an older Bruce Wayne well.
Yeah.
It was very hard in my head to ever think of him putting on the cape and cowl though. Like I couldn't translate him apart from being Bruce Wayne. Like as far as I'm looking at him in my head, I'm like, he's retired. He must be, because there's no way in the world this guy's putting on the bat suit and I'm feeling any sort of formidable force from him.
Like, I feel like at this point, this Batman should be the Batman Beyond Batman.
Yeah, like he's retired, he's moved on, he's got a protege that's taken over for him. Like that's what I feel like for it, and I'm like, as far as like Bruce Wayne, perfectly done. I think it was a great casting. The problem is I just didn't buy him as a Batman.
No.
And
that was my problem with it as well. I couldn't. This was more like businessman Batman.
Yes.
This was Bruce Wayne. It was not.
Yeah, like you said,
it's Batman.
Yeah, like you said, it's Batman Beyond. It's him sitting in the Batcave giving advice to whoever the new protege is that's out and about.
Bring me Terry McGinnis.
That's literally, you're waiting for Terry McGinnis to show up, and but yeah, this Batman is not in any way a mentor figure. There is no way that Jason was going to come out of this well. And that's kind of the whole thing was with them, of like, the big difference with those characters is like, you know, Dick Grayson, his mentor was Batman, but it wasn't his only influence. Dick Grayson is this amazing amalgamation of Batman and his other hero, Superman.
Yeah,
both of them merged together, created this guy who was fairly level-headed. Jason did not have that, and all props to the actor. He pulled that off as the Jason Todd Robin character.
And I will tell you this, Cross, the timeline, I just kind of going back to it, older Batman, the timeline of the show kind of throws me off, because it's like, where, like, okay, are we... I don't know. It's just, some of it is just, it's kind of like, okay, older Batman, up to this point, Alfred has died, you know?
Yeah.
Up to this point, Commissioner Gordon's dead.
Yeah,
you know?
Barbara's now the commissioner, which means,
and so it's like,
we've missed the whole like
what?
Batgirl and Oracle stuff, because Oracle's here, so we've had all of that happen as well. Like, this really is like the end of Batman's timeline. You know, this is...
Yeah, so it's kind of like, but then... Dick is just becoming Nightwing, so it's like, I think that part kind of throws me off a little bit. I was like, all right, but at the same time, I also see where it can work, because they have explained that we were the Titans before. We already had this team established. I think if they didn't do that, where they already had the Titans established, it would make it'd be weird. I don't know. It would feel kind of off.
It feels a little, even just simple stuff like that. Like Barbara Gordon's now
Yeah.
commissioner, but she's in her 30s.
Yeah,
How did you become commissioner that quick? You weren't even in the police force.
exactly. Now, what do you
know?
think of what they did with the whole with the way they presented Oracle? I know we're gonna talk more about season, the third season, but the Oracle thing with Barbara, kind of that one was. I don't know how I felt about it. I was really back and forth. Like, okay, so Oracle's just a computer
I
program.
wasn't a fan of the Oracle thing
It was weird. It was
because
definitely off.
you stole something from Barbara. Barbara's Oracle. It's not a computer program. Well, it is, but it's a computer program she designed. It's not an AI. It's not like a Jarvis for Tony Stark that can do all this stuff. Oracle's not a living entity. It's a computer program she used to hack everything.
Yeah.
She is Oracle. She is the one that can get into everything. So the fact of like they done the whole shutdown thing in season 3 for that, to like shut them off from Oracle, and I'm like, you should be able to boot up any computer and do what you need to do. You're Oracle. You were the freaking hacker for the Justice League, woman. Get a computer and do your thing. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah. Yeah, that I wasn't really that big of a fan of that.
No.
Like you're saying, that's her, and you took that away from her. It's like, all right.
that for me is up there with what they did in the comics to her of like, hey, she's no longer Oracle, she's Batgirl again. She can just use her legs again all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, because you're stealing something from the character that made the character awesome. Like, her as Oracle is a million times better than her being Batgirl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you've made this amazing character. Don't erase it. It's phenomenal. Don't change that. But yet they keep changing it, and it's like... But, yeah, it's like... Okay, let's get through season 1 and 2 quickly, because we've got a lot of stuff on season 3, and we keep bleeding into that, and it's like, yeah, season 3's... Season 3, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed season 3, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff where I'm like...
Season 3 was a hit and a miss. It depended on the episode.
Yeah.
It was a very wishy-washy season for me.
So season 1, we've kind of talked about, the teams, the ragtag team come together. What did you think of the build-up to Trigon as the villain? And let's include, like, I'm not even going to count the fact of, like, season 1 ends on a cliffhanger to just wrap up the next episode. Let's count, like, season 2, episode 1 as, like, that's the end of season 1. What did you think of the build-up to the Trigon thing and all of this stuff? And
I liked it. I like the nuclear family. Kind of are the acolytes of Trigon. To me, that was like, they were creepy enough to where I could see that, and then you didn't really know who was, like, who's trying what. They hint at who he is.
Yeah.
Several times throughout the season. Oh, it's the boss. It's. But when we got to that point, I felt like he was there. It was very fast. It was like boom, boom, done. All right, move on.
Yeah.
And then the whole, like, I don't know. That last episode, it was good. I enjoyed the season 2 episode 1 episode. Trigon as a whole, I'd like to see. I actually am glad they showed his demon form.
Yeah.
That
I was worried they
cool.
weren't. I worried they were going to cop out and do just he's a human form now.
Yeah, that to be able to show that form was really neat. Because just like you, I didn't know. I was like, man, are they just gonna do the human form? But we actually, and then we got the whole explanation for the crystal.
Yeah.
Which I was glad they did that as well. Because at first when I saw Raven, I was like, but where's her? Like, where is it?
Yeah.
So overall, I think that whole story arc was fantastic. I mean, there was a couple, once again, hit or miss episodes kind of scattered in there, but ultimately I think Trigon's a great villain. I mean, that's one of the, one of the big Teen Titan villains, along with, Slade, Deathstroke, and Blackfire. That's like the big, I would assume, kind of like the big 3 of Teen Titans. So
yeah, Trigon's always one of the big villains just because of the connection to Raven. Like, there's always a point where they have to face her because he's always seeking out her. So that was definitely something that was going to come. I wish we'd gotten more time with Trigon.
Yeah.
Honestly, that season 2, episode 1 could have been put at the end of season 1, and maybe another episode or 2 onto that. and do like
Yeah.
a big 3-part big finale of him on Earth and them fighting him. And I felt like they built up to this, and the build up was great. And even like when he's in the house and he's starting to take control of everybody, and he's basically got all the Titans under his control and all this stuff, it was building up great. And then it was just kind of like, oh crap, we need to get rid of this because we really want to do Deathstroke next season.
Yeah. It was kind of rushed at the end.
And then they rushed to
which-
get rid of him, and it's
like I said, such a great build up. And honestly, if you had to pick a villain to start off with, that was perfect. Because you can't start off the show with Deathstroke as the villain. It does not work. Because they are still trying to come together. Raven doesn't, she's still that, like, in the first scene, that scared little girl.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can't do Deathstroke with that. You
need a
her
villain
to
that brings them together, that forces them
Exactly.
to have to work together. Yeah, absolutely.
You have to definitely build up to that. And I think Trigon was a good starter for the show.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. I think he was a great first villain for it. I just think he needed a couple more episodes to flesh out him and make him a
absolutely.
credible threat. Because
Absolutely.
think about it compared to like Deathstroke in season 2 and how much Deathstroke we got.
Yeah.
Like there was so much him, even with the build up to the big finale and the big ending, like he was throughout the season. Compare that to like to Trigon, who literally showed up in 2 episodes, and the first one he showed up right at the end of the episode, and then was there and got beaten. And it's like just a couple more episodes to flesh that out would have been.
Well, the
really
good thing is, I do think to counterbalance that point, I do think they did a really good job of showing Trigon's influence throughout the season. Because there you could see, like, why are people just like subservient to this thing? Why why is this family like willing to kill them? They're all willing to die for something. And you see that influence. Like I said, going back to just the crazy nuclear family, which they were fun. I will say it was weird, but it was fun.
It was an interesting thing. It was one of those things of like, it's a comic book thing, just let go and have fun with it, and they did it really well. Like the nuclear family idea was a really fun take on it, and just sit back and let the craziness happen for moments like that. And it was one of the moments where it worked. Absolutely.
Yeah, worked very, very well, especially because it was kind of parallel to Dick is forming his family,
Yeah.
and it's just kind of like some of those parallels, but
Which
overall, I think it was great.
Which, yeah, with the whole thing of Dick forming his family, for a good chunk of season 1, it is like the nuclear family itself, because you've got Dick, who's the father role, you've got Starfire, who kind of takes some other role, and then you've got Gar, and you've got Rachel as the kind of the kids to it. So like it was like literally a mirror image of them, like this nuclear family that's representing Trigon with the nuclear Titan family.
You can't forget crazy drunk Uncle Hawk.
I love Hank. Hawk and Dove were the most interesting additions to the show, because like they were Titans, but they weren't quite, and I'm glad they included them. By the time season 3 rolled around, Hank is one of my favourite characters. I love Hank.
And it's crazy that they didn't do the powers thing.
Yeah.
They didn't do powers for Hawk and Dove. It was basically they were just, one was a ballerina. She had those, agility, just dancing and stuff like that. And then Hank was just a big old football player.
Yeah, they kept him very basic, very street level. But I liked that they merged their personalities to mimic their powers. Like Hank is very hot-headed, very angry, he's always ready to pick a fight. Yeah. But yet Dawn is very calm, very gentle, very peace-loving, and is also able to calm him and to bring him back down. And they made it part of who their personalities were. I thought it was really well done. Like, to keep them from being superpowered, but also still not lose what makes them Hawk and Dove. Because let's be honest, nobody knows who Hawk and Dove are. Hawk and Dove are not top-tier characters in the comics at all. People are not complaining that Hawk and Dove were not done right. You know what I mean?
I was one of those people, Cross. I was one of those people who were like, I don't know who this is, but all right, that's fine. And I'll be honest, the first couple episodes, it took me, I had to warm up to them because I didn't know who they were. I was like, who are these people?
Yeah.
But like you said, Hank is great at the end, and we'll get into what happens with him a little bit later. But I enjoyed how they were brought in and just kind of like, hey, we're the old Titans. This is my former team, and there's some animosity between Hank and Dick.
Yeah,
Which
like
was
he's literally mad
great.
about stuff that's happened, which is like it's good. Yeah, it's like we're seeing conflict and we're getting glimpses of what happened and why it happened. Can I say as well though, as much as I love Hawk and Dove, I could
Yeah.
care less about Donna Troy.
Oh yeah. That was one of those characters that
I think she
did we
had to be there, but like she didn't really
did
bring
we
anything.
did we really need her character in the show? No, we didn't. Um, because I don't. Yeah, I don't. We didn't really need her. She's a good character. I don't get me wrong. She grew on me as we went. I just feel like, and this is going now into season 2. I feel like they needed someone to die. They needed us to,
Who do we need
know,
to die? You can do. You can die.
they needed someone that they could bring in just to kill off and then bring back. I don't know. It's I don't know. I could see them just sitting around picking what we really want to have a really heart-filled season finale of season 2. Who should we kill off? How about Donna? She's not really contributing anything, so that's a good one.
That's the thing though. She wasn't. She was just there. And don't get me wrong. I know she's a character in the comics, but even in the comics though, like she is her like even just her origin story has changed so many times.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it has been moved and changed around, and we're trying to retell the story so many times, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
they don't even know
Now,
what to do with her half the time. I don't think.
and I'll tell you what, the actress that portrayed her, perfect.
Oh, she
Once
was
again,
great. Nothing against the
perfect
actress.
casting. It's the way they wrote her into the story was
They didn't
like,
know what to do with her. They like
don't really
legit
know.
did not know what to do with her.
I guess for Dick to have a friend. Which, okay.
Yeah, because I
Come
guess that's
on.
it. Because they portrayed that as a thing of like the two of them have known each other. Like, because obviously
Yeah.
Bruce and Diana Wonder Woman knew each other, so they kind of grew
Yeah.
up together, and which was weird because at one point they kind of pushed that as if like that. Oh, these two have like grown up to know each other. Like, okay, yeah, they've grown up together. Are you trying to push a romantic thing? Because it's not really going that way. It's not really
Yeah.
felt like a thing for.
I thought that's what was gonna happen, and then Dick's hooking up with like every other female character in the show. So
Yeah.
it's
Which like yeah, Dick has literally hooked up with another character. He sleeps with Starfire
Yeah.
in the first season. We get the whole backstory of him and Dawn used to date.
and then
Which I like.
him and
What? We're just throwing that in there, and then him and
season 3 we get him and Barbara.
which,
It's
which
like,
yeah though like that's what Dick's like though. Dick does that in the comics. He's like he literally just beds beautiful women. We don't. It doesn't get talked about that much because he is actually a pretty nice guy. But like yeah, he does bed a lot of women. So yeah, we're keeping it close to the comics on that one. But yeah, season 2 totally changed like gears. We got the whole like reformation of the Titans. The Titans were officially back in Titans Tower. Which I like that they actually included that. They actually included the Titans Tower as
they
part
did,
of
except
it.
for it wasn't a T.
You can't do it. I'm sorry. It's one of the stupidest designs in comics. I love the
I know it
Titans,
is.
but
It
like
is.
your base is literally shaped like a T. They know where you are. Like you're not hiding.
Yeah. I mean they modernized it, which is fine.
It's like no
I-
wonder your base got
I say
broken
that
into.
more jokingly than anything else.
I know. I
because
like because that's the thing. though. You just think about it now, like
really
it's like
goofy.
Teen Titans Go, like where you see the T base like every episode, and it's like
why?
Like even when I first seen it like ages ago, I was like, yeah, that's a stupid design. Why are we in a T?
Yeah.
But yeah, so we start the training, we start getting into all this stuff, and Dick, of course, continues his trope of picking up people, and he picks up Slade Wilson's daughter, who we don't know is Slade Wilson's daughter at this point.
Who I could be wrong, but I don't remember them even referencing it in season 3.
Oh no, she's just gone.
She just disappeared. At the end of the season, she's part of the team.
They do the
It's
walk off the
great,
screen thing with all of them.
fantastic.
She's
and
got
then
she's got Jericho in her head as well, so she's literally got her brother in her head. The two personalities are in there, and there's like season 3 gone,
She's just gone.
not
No
mentioned,
reference.
not referenced,
Nope.
nothing. Like,
Nope.
awesome. We're just
Which-
gonna write her out.
Which makes no sense on how that ended. But
Which is like I'm so glad we wasted a whole season following and really getting to know Slade's children for them to not be of any importance. Which, can I say this, by the way? Okay, I have to get this out, because when I watch season 2, there's the whole big reveal of what happens, the whole stuff with Jericho, Slade's son, who they try to befriend to get close to Slade, and they actually end up liking the kid. They actually end up making friends with him, and they don't want to use him to get to Slade. They do the whole thing, and it ends up in a whole big confrontation of Nightwing versus Deathstroke, which, by the way, I'm glad they really pushed the whole Nightwing and Deathstroke thing. In recent years, they've really pushed like Deathstroke as a Batman villain. I'm like, he's not. He's a Nightwing villain. Him and Dick have got so much history. Use it, and they did. They did it so well in the show.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job on that. I mean,
Jericho ends up part of the confrontation, and the whole big secret is like basically, I killed Jericho. Nightwing saying, I killed Jericho.
Yeah.
The problem with that is, no, you didn't. You didn't kill Jericho. It was his choice to be there. It was his choice to jump in front of the sword. And it was literally his dad that killed him.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like he went to stab you and you jumped out the road and Jericho was just there. No, he literally runs his sword through his son to get to you.
Yeah. That was...
But for some reason, you're carrying this guilt, and the guilt of having done that like shatters the Titans halfway through the season. And they all go off because they're like, Dick, how could you keep that from us? You're the reason Jericho's dead. And I'm like, but he's not! He's literally not!
I feel like they were just kind of causing drama there for...
Yeah, it's like, wow, you literally just had to have the third act of everyone separating to just do what you wanted to do next. Literally, there's no reason for it. Not a single reason. He didn't kill Jericho. He loved Jericho. He got on so well with him. Which, kudos to the kid playing Jericho, by the way. Like, he is like on screen for an episode or two, and he's already such a likable character.
Speaking of diversity and everything else, did you know that is actually a trans actor? I had no clue.
Oh, is it? I didn't know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I thought you were going to talk about him being like using sign language, like he's actually deaf, because the character like uses signs throughout it. Obviously, I did not know he was a trans actor.
Yeah, which is pretty cool that they brought him into that. But it was really the whole season. I mean, when I say that this is my favorite portrayal of Deathstroke in any media that I've seen, it's because the actor was awesome. Like the way he carried himself, the way he interacted with the Titans, it was like, yes. I watched that whole thing. I was like, this is the Slade Wilson I've been waiting for. This is what I've been wanting to see. Like I said, the actor, perfect choice, perfect casting.
He again looked like he was ripped right out of the comics.
Yes.
Masked and unmasked, he looked like he was ripped out of the comics.
Yes, they did an amazing job. But yeah, the season 2 was so far my favorite. Once again, the Rose thing kind of threw me off with season 3, but
yeah, that was a weird thing.
But because up now at this point, the Titans are a thing. They are, they've come together. We're not really having to build that backstory. We're just kind of playing out what's going on. We're training. Otherwise, it's just a really good season. I don't have too much more to say about it.
No,
but it's now I will say the introduction with Superboy, I felt like that was just kind of thrown in there.
It was just shoehorned in. That deserved like the opportunity to build upon, like
with Cadmus Labs, and it was just like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're doing Superboy this episode.
Yeah, like Cadmus was thrown in there, and it was like, Cadmus is a big deal. Are they not going to really? We're not going to give them time to flesh that out. No, we're just going to we're moving on. Okay.
And then we really don't go back to that. It's just kind of done.
Yeah, Cadmus is just kind of done. I'm like, okay, I guess we're not focusing on this. We're not going to bring up the fact that they created a clone of Superman and Lex Luthor and superpowered a dog. We're not questioning this. Okay, we're just going to move on. All right. Although I will say, as I said, I did like the portrayal of Superboy. I thought the actor is a phenomenal job. I'm not even going to attempt to say his name because his last name, I can't say it properly. It's
Joshua Orphan.
Yeah, but he does a phenomenal job, and I really love the kind of friendship he makes with Gar, because obviously he ends up at Titan's Tower, and by the time that he wakes up, everybody's gone, and it's literally just Gar there, like holding the fort down and doing nothing. Try to pretend he's still important. It's like that. I'm just watching cameras for no reason. But then he starts doing that, and then of course we get the whole thing of like he doesn't properly train him a little bit, and Superboy attacks the police and all this stuff. And so we really see like the crumbling of everything happening. Well, Dick kind of works through his stuff and sends himself to jail and stuff like that, and that whole story, and fights his demons again. And then of course at the end we get the reveal of Nightwing showing up at the carnival, and everyone comes back together. And
which, by the way, the suit design for Nightwing was awesome.
Can I take the time to say this out, actually, because we're not mentioning it for the rest of it? The costuming in general for Titans is amazing.
I love it. Just the way they did like the emblem, the bird emblem, it's fantastic.
It's so good.
They gave that its own little, there's a guy that does suits. That's okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they actually
little tidbit on it. But
yeah, all the suits look good. I was gonna say when we were talking about Hawk and Dove, like Hawk's suit, I absolutely adore. It looks like a proper suit, but it also looks like tactical and useful. Donna and the Wonder Girl suit looks awesome. Like, the Deathstroke costume, everything we've seen. Raven when she's in full costume,
Isn't Dove's wings pretty functional too? Because I think at one point she wraps her wings around when somebody's shooting.
Yes, I believe so.
As well, so.
It's like,
and then I think they're sharp on the end, so she can actually cut with them. I think.
I want to say yes to that. That'll sound about right. I didn't go back and rewatch them, but yeah, it's the costuming is just phenomenal on this show. But we wrap up season 2, thanks to the help of Jericho and Deathstroke's head. They transfer Jericho over to his sister's head, so he's in Rose's head.
And we never see them again.
And they just go off into the... It's like they literally walk off camera with the rest of the Titans. It's literally as soon as they got off camera, someone just went shove. You're not needed anymore.
They have that big old dinner with Bruce too. And
yeah.
It's like, all right. Okay.
Yeah, we start getting a bit of Bruce in this season as well, and it's a little bit okay. It's interesting.
Him and Dick really reconnect this season. And that was cool to see, because it was like the first season you saw the tension. And then this season they're kind of restoring that, especially when Bruce is like, hey, can you take Jason, teach him, I can't do it. Yeah. You can. That was pretty cool. I like that a lot.
Was this a season as well, like where Bruce randomly shows up when like all the girls are like wandering through the desert, and they end up at like that one little building, and it's like he's the one that's gathered them all there?
Oh yeah, I was not expecting that whatsoever.
It's like, and he gives them all this information and all this stuff about what's going on, and he walks out the building, and like Starfire literally goes, "Did he just mansplain to us?" And I'm like, "Did we really have to? Did he mansplain?" Yes. The 50-year-old superhero who's been doing this for decades told you how to be superheroes. I don't think it counts as mansplaining. I think it counts as mentoring.
Yep.
Go and save the day. Like, this isn't like a man telling women what to do. This is like a guy who's been doing this all his life, telling you how to be a hero.
How to do it right. Like, how to, be a
None of you are superheroes.
Yeah.
No. That really got me like that. It's like, is he mansplaining to us? And I'm like, are we really forcing Starfire to talk about mansplaining? Like, really?
Yeah.
Like, he's not mansplaining, he's mentoring. If Wonder Woman came in and gave you that advice, you would take it, you know what I mean? It's like someone who's been doing it for decades.
Yeah.
But then, of course, the season ends with the big heart-crushing moment of Donna Troy being killed at the fairground. Saving people, catching... What was it that fell? I can't remember.
It was electrical...
It was electrical, yeah.
Pole that fell. And and then at the end, we have Raven decides to go off with the body. I think I can't remember if she actually says it or not, but she goes with Donna's body to try to resurrect her.
Yeah, she leaves to go with Themyscira because she wants to resurrect the body. She hints at it heavily that she thinks she might be able to do it with her new powers, so she heads off with that. Which basically writes both of them out for most of season 3. I'm not going to lie, until it got to, what was it, episode 8 or 9 that she shows back up, I forgot Raven was a thing for a while.
Yeah.
Because we literally... We start off season 3... in a really cool way. Like, I love the opening scene for season 3 because like the whole thing of the Titans like working through the warehouse and taking the bad guys in that scene, really establishing them as a team, working together, taking them out. Dick scene, I was really annoyed because Dick seemed to be like kind of like a bit more happy-go-lucky, a bit more himself in that opening scene, like kind of walking along, like electrocuting the poles and stuff to get guys, just kind of taking everything in stride a little bit. And then we basically made him Batman. Like,
which
about episode 2, and he went back to being dark and gritty again. I'm like,
yeah,
like, okay, he's a bit dark and gritty. He's not as dark and gritty though. Come on, guys. We almost had a happy-go-lucky Nightwing for like an episode.
Oh yeah. Starting with season 3. I don't know if you're ready to move on, Cross, but
yeah, let's jump into this. So this is us going to go into season 3, the most recent season. We're going to go full spoiler into it, but this is where we're going to spend most of our time talking. That was little overviews of season 1 and 2. We're going to start going a bit more in depth.
It just took us an hour to get to this.
I'm surprised it only took us an hour. I'm not going to lie.
But yes, season 3, as I said before, I was very wishy-washy on it. There was episodes that I loved and thought, wow, this is one of my favorite shows on TV. And there was episodes where I'm like, I'm going to turn this garbage off because I'm done with it.
There was concepts of season 3 that I thought were awesome. Like the concept overall was awesome. There's moments I'm like, oh, you could have done that a little differently and made it play out a bit better. And as the season went on, it's like, oh, that's becoming a regular thing. Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because season 3 essentially became a Bat Family show.
Yeah.
As opposed to a Titan show as much.
100% did.
Which all credit to them, by the way, setting up going into season 4. We're heading back to San Francisco. We're heading back to Titan's Tower and stuff. So hopefully we're going to head back that direction. But yeah, this literally became like a show about Nightwing, Jason Todd, Tim Drake even. Oh yeah, and the Titans are kind of there as well, I guess.
Yeah, and the Titans did things.
And we are here too.
They get a participation award because that's what they did. And, well, okay, we did get to see Beast Boy turn into his third, another animal, which was fun, which I'm like, all right, finally, come on. He turned into a bat at one point, which I've
got comments on that scene as well.
I'm like, all right, well, that's something.
Can
I go? We also get the and I've told Cross this before the stream. Scarecrow, we get an introduction, and Scarecrow is one of my favorite Batman villains. He's always been one of my favorites. I don't know, because I don't like scary things, and and Scarecrow is all about scary things, which makes him, like, for me, a good adversary, like, in my head. Like, that's a good Batman villain.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really care for his portrayal. I was excited when I heard Scarecrow's going to be in this, but he wasn't Scarecrow. He was Jonathan Crane that got crazier and crazier and crazier as the season went. And
even argued with Scarecrow at one point. They even made a whole big deal in like latter episodes of the fact of like, you're not good enough yourself. You have to be Scarecrow to actually do anything. And he's like, I am good enough. I can do it on my own.
And then he was looking at Chucky at the end with his, messed up face. He cuts himself with the scythe. And it's like, okay. I don't think this is the portrayal that I wanted. But on the other hand...
Just put the freaking bag in your head. You're Scarecrow.
They needed the doctor version because he manipulates Jason. They needed that. I understand why they brought his character in. I just not happy with the results.
The problem was they did this weird thing where they tried to separate Scarecrow and Crane.
Yeah.
As if they were two separate personalities.
Yeah.
And Scarecrow has never been a split personality. It's never been a case of like Crane becomes Scarecrow and like loses himself. I'm like, no, Crane and Scarecrow are the same thing. He doesn't lose his doctor self because he puts on the Scarecrow mask. It's like, no, he's both. Mm-hmm. I don't know why you're not doing both, why you're acting like he's two separate people, but he's not. He's like, he can do the crazy doctor thing and then go out and put the mask on and be bat crap crazy, Scarecrow as well that's doing all the fear talks and stuff. But
Mhm.
my problem
And
for it was he was basically the main villain for this season,
Yeah.
but everything pointed towards Red Hood being the villain.
But we got a crappy Red Hood.
We did. And this is me speaking as a Red Hood fan. I've literally got Red Hood hanging up there behind me. I've got a Red Hood statue over here. Like, I'm a Red Hood fan. This was not a good version of Red Hood.
He was
Bar the
Red
few
Hood.
times that he had the helmet on.
Yeah, I was about to say he was Red Hood for probably, if you look at the whole time of, like, take all the time in the show, probably 20 minutes of actual Red Hood. It was really disappointing because Red Hood is an amazing, like, villain anti-hero. He's
Yeah.
awesome. He's like one of my favorites. And they really trashed his character. He was manipulated the whole point of the season. He was manipulated by Crane the entire season. He wasn't his own, like, independent, like, thing. He was just a pawn. And it's like, that's not Red Hood. That's not Red Hood.
My thing for why it went that way was, like, I can see why they went that way with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing with Red Hood is, like, when you're trying to do a story like this, is difficult because, like, we went into it at the very beginning. Like, Jason had left the Titans in the last season. He was going off on his own. He went back to Gotham. We got the whole, like, stuff with him and Batman was, like, losing faith in him because he was Jason. And he's still an arrogant little jackass, you know. So he doesn't want to do it. So he finds out where Joker is, goes off, finds Joker himself at the carnival, and we get a really brutal scene. Like, it's done in shadow and it's done from behind. We don't see the Joker, but it's a freaking brutal scene. We see him getting laid into with his crowbar, and we do the death of Jason Todd.
Yeah.
The problem is, in the comics, that wasn't like a path to Red Hood. Jason Todd was dead for a long time. And in fact, it was considered one of the staples of comics. Like, for a while, there was characters that you didn't bring back, and those were Uncle Ben for Spider-Man, Bucky for Captain America, although they ended up retconning that one as well, and Jason Todd for Batman. He was an untouchable to bring back for a long time. So when Red Hood came back, it had been a long time passing. He had been brought back by, not in Gotham, but by Ra's al Ghul, and trained by Ra's al Ghul in the League of Shadows, the League of Assassins. He was trained by them. He had a freaking fling with Talia al Ghul while he was there, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he was there for a long time before he eventually came back to Gotham. The problem was with this, Jason died, and then like 2 weeks later, Jason was back.
Yeah, there wasn't enough time. There wasn't enough time for that, I don't know, build up, I guess.
And you could have done it. You could have done a time passing thing, because, like, you literally could have cut. Because at the end of episode, I was gonna say episode 1. In episode 1, you get Bruce Wayne coming back in, waking Dick up late one night, covered in blood, just spouting that, yeah, I killed the Joker.
Which, by the way, did not expect that. In this multiverse, Batman kills people sometimes when he's really angry.
Yeah, well, that's it in this multiverse, and even if that was the first time, like, literally Bruce Wayne tells Dick that and then takes off.
Which is crazy, because that's not Batman doesn't kill. And it's like, for him to kill the Joker, I was really thrown off by that. I didn't expect that was going to happen. Yeah, and you know, the way they kind of explained how he came back, that Crane threw him in there just happens to be a Lazarus pit.
This has to be a Lazarus pit underneath Gotham.
There always is a Lazarus pit in Gotham, but
yeah.
You know, I have a problem with that. Can I talk about the Lazarus pit real fast?
Yeah, go for it.
The fact that you can. Now, I don't know too much about it in the comics, but I know through other Batman media and shows that you can only use it once. Is that a thing in the comics?
It's not a thing that you can only use it once. Like, you can use it multiple times. Like, that's how Ra's al Ghul stays around. He dips himself in the Lazarus pit multiple times. He is constantly going in it. That's why he's been around for centuries. But but in this show, they really downplayed it Like,
Exactly.
I wasn't happy at the end of it, like the fact of like, because you could even have played that into Jason, but then at the end of it we dunked Dick in there, because spoilers, Dick Grayson gets killed.
Yeah.
And they dump him in the Lazarus pit, and he has this little fight in his head, and he comes out alive. It's like, no, when you come out of a Lazarus pit, it steals a part of you. You're not entirely the same when you come out. It's not quite as bad as like the Arrowverse when they did it, and like you come out as this like soulless
Crazy
monster.
psycho. Yeah.
You're not quite that far gone, but like, yeah, you're not the same person. It takes a part of you. That's why Ra's al Ghul's nuts. He's been in it so many times, like he keeps losing parts of himself. That's why he's not quite all there, as intelligent as he is. And
now, could I say they could have honestly cut that part out with the Lazarus pit? They could have cut that out where he gets killed and then he shows up. He should have. That, honestly, it would have been more interesting to me if Dick would have died right there, and then he would have shown up in that like train. Remember the whole like purgatory train scene?
You set that all up, and it just did not do it.
They could have done that. They literally could have done that. They showed, and then so kind of maybe we should talk about what happens to Hank before we get to that part.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Oh no, I just want to count Tom Levine in chat saying, so it's not quite as bad as Pet Sematary. No, it's not quite as like bad as Pet Sematary when they come out. But yeah, so like Jason comes back as Red Hood like episode 2. Like he's back like right away. And the thing is, you could have done a gap there. You could have done even a year later.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden Red Hood shows up, and it's like, and no one knows who it is. Like, if you know the comics, if you know anything, you know it's Jason Todd. But the characters don't. But even when they do it in the show, like Red Hood, badass character for that whole first episode. He shows up. He's beating down the goons. He's beheading people like he does when he first comes back as Red Hood. He's trying to take control of the crime. He has a face-to-face battle with Nightwing, which was an awesomely choreographed fight scene.
So good.
Even his attitude, the way he carries himself, the way he talks, I'm like, wow, they're actually portraying Red Hood well. End of episode 2.
Yeah.
Helmet is shattered, and part of it falls away. And Dick knows that it's Jason.
Yeah.
That should have been like a mid-season reveal that Red Hood was Jason, and you've done it in episode 2.
Yeah.
And from there, legitimately, Jason spends I don't know how much time with that helmet off, because we start to set up Crane as a person who's analysing Red Hood during that episode as well, and to give some insights. And I think it's by episode 3 we're like, oh yeah, he's the one giving Jason drugs. Like episode 3 or 4, it's like early on. It's like, oh yeah, he's the one that brought Jason back, and he's giving him drugs to basically make him lose his fear, because he almost died in season 2 and was saved by Superboy, and that, along with other fears that kept plaguing him. So he's taking this drug that he's now addicted to. So Red Hood is basically drugged up working for Crane. And it's like, so we don't get to see badass Red Hood like ripping through people and taking them down and his amazing fighting ability. What we see is snot-nosed punk Jason Todd, who was Robin, wearing a leather coat, pretending he knows what he's doing because I can get it done, and actually snivelling in the corner, whining and complaining for a whole season.
Oh my goodness! And then
it's non-stop.
It was whining, and it was this back and forth. Wait, am I bad? Am I the villain? Am I a good guy? What do I want to be? Wait, no, I'm also a bad guy. And it's just like this, just constant. Which there's conflict. I understand that, but it's
constant. And the thing is, they didn't even play it up as a thing of like that. It's like, no, I need to be a hero, but it's the drugs that are making me do this, and I need more of the drugs, because like halfway through the season he gets off the drugs.
Yeah.
And then he's kind of like just back and forth for the hell of it. Like, just like he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, Oh, now, I will say one of my favorites of this season was the 3rd episode, Hank and Dove, where Hank is actually captured by Jason. He's kind of tricked into meeting up. Hank actually really loved Jason. You could see that he
sees a lot of himself in Jason. He sees a lot of that angry young kid in him, and he really wants to try and help him. He kind of connected at Titan's Tower in season 2, and you see him really wanting to help him.
And Jason straps a bomb to his heart, and ultimately the thing that caught me completely off guard, my mouth was to the floor, he kills Jason. Excuse me, he kills Hank. Jason
Yeah.
kills Hank.
He blows him up. Like, in full, like, Red Hood
And you're
mode,
just
one of the
like,
moments where Red Hood is actually being Red Hood and not Snivelly Jason.
whoa.
And he murders Hank Hall. Like, literally blows him up. And, like, this close, Superboy came to finding something to get the device off him. You see
He
Connor
stands in the
literally
doorway.
in the doorway
doorway.
when the explosion goes off, and just see it going around him, and he's just standing there. Like, he was too late. And it's like, it's so well done, and by that point, like, I was so in love with Hank. I loved Hank's character.
Yeah.
And that was so
sad.
heartbreaking that he died. It was like, oh.
Honestly, I felt more heartbreak for him than I did when Donna died.
Mm,
I was
absolutely.
like,
I was
okay.
really gutted. Like, Donna dying was kind of like, okay, yeah, I wasn't as connected to the character, but I really liked Hank's character. I really felt like
He
I
was
connected. And I felt so sorry for him because he was honestly trying to live a normal life now. He was trying to be normal with
his
Donna.
mustache.
They were trying to be normal, and then they were having hassle in town and stuff, and he was trying to, like, no,
Yeah.
we're just trying to live a normal, quiet life now, and that ends up happening to him, and it's like, oh. Like,
Well, Hank's character overall is a very redeemable character. He starts off he's kind of a jerk. I mean, he is.
Yeah.
I didn't, like I said, season 1, not a fan. Season 2, just grew to love him. By season 3, I was like, Hank is one of probably my favorite characters.
Absolutely.
And that whole build up, which honestly, killing Hank was one of the best things they could have done in that episode, because they did that build up where it was just like him and just kind of having little heart-to-hearts with each of the Titans before, as the bomb was ticking lower and lower, had that, like, him and Dove kind of reconnected because they were kind of split apart. They were kind of reconnected, him and Dick kind of like making peace. And
yeah, they made peace and hashed out their stuff and all that. And
and then he dies. I mean, I think it wouldn't have been, that episode wouldn't have been as great if he would have lived.
It made the stakes feel like it made the stakes feel like they were real, because they'd fought in Trigon and they'd won, and they'd fought in Deathstroke and won. And at the very start of this season, they did the right thing. Like, they played up Jason as Red Hood, because the whole thing, the way that they did it, like I said, they shouldn't have revealed Jason beforehand, but the way they did it, they actually did it well here, because it felt like it was one of their own turning on them, and it was like it took someone to know who they were, to be one of their own, to then murder one of the Titans to make this threat feel real. Like, literally any of these characters could go at any moment.
But see, what the sad part is they did that, and then they went back to whiny Jason, not really Red Hood, like being like conflicted, which conflict is fine. However, the way they did it was not good. They made him very whiny. Like,
okay, I said this to you before we went on the air. What is it with some superhero shows and movies not wanting to wear the freaking masks?
Yeah.
Even at the end, like when Dick does his whole coming back from the dead, they have a reconciliation when he's like, I need to help. And Dick's kind of like, okay, you can't come and be with the Titans though, because if you show up, they're not going to do what they need to do. But you can help us. And he even hands him the helmet, and then he just shows up without it. Like, put the freaking helmet on. It's like, when he's got that helmet on, it looks so cool. It looks like it's literally a comic book come to life of Red Hood, and it's like, he just wanted to be whiny Jason the whole time, and I'm like, oh.
Why? I don't know. It's back and forth with the season. I think that the moments where we had Jason full Red Hood was perfect spot, and he played a pretty dang good Red Hood. Like,
yeah, he done it really. I am not a fan of the actor
Jason
for it. See, when they revealed it was him, no.
I was not a fan of the Jason Todd part of his persona, but when Red Hood he put on the mask, I was like, all right, I'm for this. I am committed. It's great. And then he took off the mask, and there was the drugs, and then he's conflicted. He's like, wait, am I doing things wrong? Wait, I killed Hank. Wait a second.
I think part of the issue as well is that when he took off the helmet as well, like I said, not a lot of time had passed. He still looked like a kid.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure the actor's like 19, 20, 21, something like that, but he legitimately, I know like when you get older you start saying everybody looks 12, but he literally looks like he's like 14.
Yeah.
Which is perfect for playing Robin, but when he's trying to play Red Hood, every time he takes that helmet off, he just looks like a kid standing around with a bunch of grown-ups.
Yeah.
When he's got the helmet on, it looks fine, like he looks like he's meant to belong, but with the helmet off, he looked like a kid, and he whined like a little brat as well. It's like, if you're trying to redeem this character as an anti-hero, you clearly don't know what you're doing. Because I'm never going to buy him as an anti-hero now.
Yeah.
Because to buy him as an anti-hero, I have to buy him as a villain.
Yeah, and I didn't. I couldn't. I was just not into his portrayal. They could have done, like you said, the time passing thing. They could have done like a time passing thing, and then with that, they could have shown like maybe his skin is kind of like maybe a little messed up, or his, he could have been more broody or whatever.
Yeah,
they could have done something, and he's just like, all right, it's this guy again.
Okay, can I just say that as well? Like, it's something I wasn't going to bring up with these and the look of him as well, but like legitimately, the actor playing Jason Todd, like Red Hood Jason Todd, is too pretty. Like, he is like 100%. I looked at his Instagram, like, he is a pretty boy. He has got like the slim face and like the naturally pouty lips and all this, and I'm like, he just looks like a male model, and I'm like, Jason Todd's not meant to be quite that that pristine looking, like, sort of, nothing against the actor, obviously that's what he looks like, but I'm like, it's not the look I would think of.
Yeah, I 100% think it was the writing. Just kind of answering the question here.
Oh yeah, for Tom, yeah. So was it the writing, the performance, the direction?
It was the writing.
The writing and the direction, like, I didn't like his performance of it, but the actor is phenomenal. The actor done a really good job when he was allowed to be Red Hood. He did a great job.
Yeah.
But the writing of this show was basically Red Hood is a lackey.
Yeah.
A drugged up, like, whiny lackey for Crane, and all of a sudden Scarecrow is the villain. Which was like, okay. So yeah, let's talk about Scarecrow, and then I want to jump into the whole Titans becoming the new Batman and Barbara Gordon and all that stuff as well.
Before we do that, there's one character cross in the next episode we can't forget about is Blackfire.
Blackfire.
Introduction to Blackfire, which Blackfire is a big Titans villain.
That is jack all with her in the show.
Like,
there's legitimately nothing with her in this season.
she's like hooking up with Connor. Like,
she was just there. They didn't even do anything. It's not even like they made her a hero. Like, they literally did nothing with her.
It didn't make any sense to me. I was like, why? She's supposed to be like this ruler and this like warlord, and they were like, all
right, let's get into Blackfire because we're starting. Let's just go for it. We're already there.
Jump the gun on that one, but
no, we're there. Let's just go for it.
Yeah,
we're probably gonna jump a bit with us talking about different things, but yeah, there's the Blackfire thing. Like, Blackfire is an amazing foil to Starfire.
Yeah.
Whereas Starfire is meant to be like the happy, perky, happy-go-lucky sort of character, like, Blackfire is the brooding, dark version. She is the villainous version. Like, I rule with an iron fist sort of mentality, and we did get that personality off of her, at least at first.
Yeah.
The problem is, it went from being like, hey, this is meant to be a villain that they should be fighting, and this is someone who could legitimately mess them up, to petty catfight with Starfire.
That didn't go anywhere.
Didn't
pay off at all.
The back and forth was driving me nuts. Like, they would make up, and literally the next scene, one of them would say something, and the other one would go off in a mood, and they would start fighting again. And it's like, you just made up. You legitimately just made up. Like, I can't deal with you. I can't handle you. I'm going to go over here. I'm like, what happened? Like,
pick a lane.
What happened?
Pick a lane. And then it was kind of weird too, because like I said, they introduced this relationship with Connor, and I'm like, but why though? Like, do we need just to keep him busy through the?
And like apparently we had nothing for either of them to do, so they can go and they can bang for a couple of scenes, because it's like, literally there was nothing else for them to do. Superboy had nothing else to do this season, and Blackfire, who they introduced, literally had nothing to do. And do you know what the worst thing about it is? By the end of the season, she leaves.
Yeah.
She goes back to Tamaran.
With, by the way, no animosity towards anybody.
No animosity, goes off, her and Starfire on good terms, and we're just going to leave and be all
Like,
happy.
if she becomes a villain later on, that's
It
not
will
gonna
not make sense.
it won't. Because they literally settle everything. We find out that Blackfire killed her parents
Oh, one
because
second.
her. But yeah, Blackfire. They bring her. It's not gonna make any sense because she is this warlord character. I mean, they even, like I was saying, she told Starfire, "I killed my parents. I killed everybody."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, okay, that's cool. We can explain it later on down the line with some a Vision backstory thing." And
What was that
how
about as well? What
she
was
gets
that
her
Vision
powers.
thing?
She gets her powers, she gets Starfire's powers, and then Starfire somehow gets powers or something. I don't know.
They
I
stole
think
her powers and gave them to Starfire because she was meant to be the ruler, and even though, like, you know, Blackfire had the fire power
Yeah.
and that was meant to make her the next ruler, and
It
that
was
somehow
filler.
pushed out Starfire's ability, so she now has this weird electrical thing
Yeah,
that she does.
it was filler episode. We just needed filler in the
It
show.
wasn't even a B plot, it was like a C or a D plot. It's like, why is this here? Did you really
Now-
need to, like,
Yeah,
fill that much time?
Yeah, we could have literally cut out any of the Blackfire stuff in this season, and it honestly would not have made any kind of impact.
Yeah, you could have cut out
It wouldn't have done
Blackfire
anything.
entirely. Like, she was a throw into this and there was no reason.
My thing is, if those characters were like not really gonna do anything, just do the Rose thing and just not include them. Just be like Dick and Gar went to, and Hank or whatever, they went to Gotham. Like, we don't need the whole cast to move with them.
Yeah, they
If
don't
that-
need
if-
to all be in every episode because they did that with other characters, and it's like, but like, why do that with her? But yeah, that was the most random plot point, and it didn't even go anywhere.
No, it didn't make any sense.
Um,
And so I feel like they kind of burned one of the Titans, like a big Titan villain, and I'm like, oh, this is unfortunate. Like,
Because it makes you think, what are they going to do next season? Like, Blackfire could have been a whole season and really work on that, and like, but they didn't do anything with her, and it's like, okay. But hey, speaking of other characters who were randomly introduced, I don't think there's enough Bat Family members in Titans. I think we need more Bat Family members. Like, I think we need to see Barbara Gordon.
oh my goodness.
Not just showing up. We need her to be a new main character and love interest for Dick, and to show up all the time. And you know what? Throw in Tim Drake while we're at it. Just throw him in there randomly.
Why not? Now, I do like how they made Killing Joke references to that. I do like that a lot. Yeah, Barbara, I honestly, I liked her character. She was commissioner for some reason. She was commissioner.
Yeah, I still don't get that. I was in a you before we went on, on stream. Was like, she's like 30 something. How are you commissioner of the police department? Just because your dad was doesn't mean you get to become it. It's not like a title that's passed on. Like, you're not part of the police department, but in your 30s you're all of a sudden commissioner. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
No wonder they put your right hand person as an Argus agent.
Right.
Which
to
spoilers
me,
for the
it was-
end. Like, no wonder.
It was kind of strange. I was like, I guess. And then she had this like weird conflict with Dick. She was like, I don't, you don't need to be here, but I still kind of like you, I guess.
Yeah, it's this weird like fight because we had to have a conflict for them to overcome, and it's like, no, why don't you just like, hey, we still like each other. I left to go do stuff, but hey, we're still interested and we can start dating
Right.
again. Like, it was random. And then of course as well, Barbara Gordon isn't that smart, right?
Yeah, because she has to have a computer.
She's not
She has to
Oracle.
have an AI.
She's
Does
not,
not
she's
make
not
any
Oracle. She made Oracle.
Oh, but she has the password for Oracle.
She's the password for Oracle, and Oracle is like Jarvis for Tony Stark. Like, it's an AI that does all this stuff. It's like,
Hated it so much. I hate it so much. That was just one of the things they did in this season that it really rubbed me the wrong way.
it didn't make sense though. I'm like, it was literally this weird thing.
Why?
It was literally this weird thing of like, because we have to like, because we want her to be in the wheelchair, and we want her to be post Oracle because of the timeline. But we can't actually have her do anything Oracle-y because it'll throw off the whole stuff we're doing with Scarecrow. And it's like, so we need to make Oracle a computer that gets wiped out.
Which, once again, really peeves me a little bit about the timeline of this show because, and this is just me being very analytical on a superhero TV show, which I shouldn't be, but I'm a nerd and it's what we do.
That's what we do. That's the point of this podcast.
It's like, okay, what? I feel like they like rush things, but this is like, to me, this show is like futuristic. This show is almost, in my head, almost that futuristic Batman Beyond kind of story.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we are. Commissioner Gordon is Barbara. Like, this is where we are. This is who she is during. From what I remember, that's who she was.
Yeah.
During like the whole like the new Batman.
Yeah, in our 50s
She
and
was
60s though.
Exactly, but she's like 30 as a commit. Like, I don't understand. And then she was how long was she Oracle for?
Question as well. Why is the Oracle AI underneath the police station? How does that make sense?
It beats me.
Like it doesn't make any sense. Wouldn't it have been a lot simpler to go, she used to be Oracle. She did something and hacked into something and it done something really bad and it got like a bunch of innocent people killed. So she swore off ever doing the Oracle thing again.
Yeah.
So when Crane starts to go off his thing and starts to do it, Dick asks her to help his Oracle and she refuses because of what happened and she doesn't want to get innocents killed again. And then that way you can do the whole thing. Hey, the town's going to crap. We are literally falling apart. He is turning people into fear-addled like monsters that are killing each other in the street. We need Oracle. Okay, give me a laptop, and I can get back in and give her. She opens up her computer and she gets back in there. Like literally, isn't that a lot simpler than Oracle,
This
the AI?
and I honestly think they did it only for that one scene where Crane hacked in Oracle and used it. That was literally the reason. Which
No. Do you know why I think they did it?
Really dumb. I mean,
you know why I think they did it this way? Because they went, hey, Iron Man's popular.
I wouldn't be surprised.
DC properties aren't quite as popular. You know what's really popular? Iron Man. He has an AI. We should get an AI.
Yeah. It
like legitimately, I would bet money that that's the reason.
It just makes me shake my head on that's the direction you chose. But okay, I guess.
Yeah. All right.
And then I love. Don't you love the whole Barbara was stealing things to get attention from Daddy?
So she's Selena Kyle now. She's stealing things.
That's what I was thinking too. I was
why?
Like,
because
are we doing a Catwoman thing? Like, I don't.
Which you know what the funny thing is? Because it kind of plays into a Catwoman thing because it's like she's doing that and then she's getting Dick involved in it and stuff like that, and it's like, so we're really turning him into Batman that he needs a cat burglar love interest? Like, really? No, that doesn't make any. Why would Barbara do that? That was not who she was. She wasn't a thief trying to get attention from Daddy. It's like, no, please stop, please. All right, I need to talk about him. I've said it many times on the show. I'm a fan of the Robins. We've talked about Dick. We've talked about whiny ass Red Hood. They introduced Tim Drake.
Who, by the way, was like a little bit older than he probably should have been.
I was going to say like that. Yeah, they're like he looked older than Jason Todd.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you're meant to be the third Robin. You're meant to be younger than them. You're meant to be his replacement. And I'm like, but okay, but they turn okay. Tim Drake. Like, I literally could describe most of the Robins as if they were turtles, like the TMNT characters.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Drake is Donatello. He is insanely smart.
Mm-hmm.
It has been described that if anyone was to take over the Batman mantle in terms of being a detective and actually solving crimes, it would be him.
Mm-hmm.
They did include correctly the fact of that Tim Drake worked out who Batman was and worked out the Nightwing was Dick Grayson. He did. He worked that out all on his own.
With his crappy little computer, his crappy little setup in his basement.
Yeah, he's got his like setup as like, at least they got that right that he worked all this out. The problem is that when he does that in the comics, he takes that information to Bruce to become Robin. Now he's just kind of running about going, I want to be the next Robin. I want to be the next Robin.
Like, it was very campy. It was
very campy, and he's like fanboying basically, which
Yeah.
That's never how I've seen Tim Drake carry himself as a fanboy of these heroes that he reads up on. I'm like, it's always as a hero of like, I want to help, I can help, like, trust me, I've got the ability. Which I'm hoping that gets fleshed out in season 4 as he's going with the Titans, that Dick's going to start training him and we're going to start seeing him as a new Robin. And we get a little bit more of that, but like legitimately, like, his character was included for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, what did he actually do?
Oh, nothing. He is just like Blackfire. Like, if they didn't include them in the show, it honestly had been fine.
Like, there's a whole subplot with his family and stuff like that, and all this. Like,
in those moments, I could totally care less because it just wasn't necessary. It was filler. Once again, that filler. I mean, there was the whole thing where he kind of guided Donna, but like, why?
yeah. Also, as well, can I say
that.
with his family as well? Like, and this isn't a shot at the casting or the race at all. Like, the guy, make Tim Drake whatever race you want, but like, I literally looked at his parents and like, okay, one's black, the father's black, the mother's Hispanic. Are you trying to make Tim Drake Miles Morales? Like,
What's happening? Yeah.
like, legitimately, that question crossed my mind. Not that I'm against that. I love Miles Morales, but I'm like, it was like too spot on. Like, they didn't even flip like the mom was black and the dad was Hispanic. No, it was literally like Miles's parents.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you trying to play on Into the Spider-Verse a little bit?
I totally love like when they do different races or
Yeah.
whatever, or that.
I have no
love
issue with it. Like for example, I've got an issue with the fact if you read the comics, Nightwing, Jason Todd, and Tim Drake legitimately unmasked. You could not tell them apart, barring height, and bar that in the comics at one point Jason had like a white streak. Legitimately, they all look the same. Even Damian as well. Like, all the Robins look exactly identical.
Boo, Damian Wayne, boo.
Yeah, boo him. We don't need to include him in the show. Please don't. Please don't.
Who knows? This show is going off the rails.
Please don't bring Damian Wayne into this. Like, you're pushing me as it is with this one. But you know what I mean? It's like, I have no issues with like the recasting. If the actor's right for the role, put them in it. I felt like I legitimately saw his parents who were like randomly pushed in. Like, we don't need to see that much of his parents. But when they're gearing up and they were fighting like against the police who Crane has on his side and stuff like that, I was legitimately like, this is feeling a bit Miles Morales-y.
Yeah.
But then, like, he didn't even do anything. It wasn't even like he worked out stuff or he did anything. What was his role? He got shot and killed so that he could go into the afterlife, onto this like spirit train or whatever the heck it was.
Can I say that was also one of my favorite episodes of the series? I don't know why I liked it so much, but I think I liked it because they brought Hank back.
Hank was in it, and Hank was awesome in it. He was like amazing.
He almost, you know what it reminded me? It reminded me of the show Supernatural. I don't know why, because I guess the car maybe, I don't know. But
yeah, because he's driving like an American muscle car around this. Because like when you get off the train, for anyone who doesn't know, you get off the train, like basically if you're on the train, you're going to the afterlife, and if you get off the train, which many people have, your soul's up for grabs for all these ghouls that basically look like Harry Potter Dementors, like sort of esque looking creatures or ring wraiths like coming after you. So yeah, like they're running away from them, and then out of nowhere, for no reason, Hank is just driving around in this muscle car in this forest. Like,
which
they never explain where he gets that car from and why he's driving it around. They never explain.
It's great. I love it. I love the fact that they don't, and we just like what the, but it's Hank. Like it's Hank. Like that's what makes it so great. It's just like that's just Hank's personality.
Playing rock music, driving an American muscle car, just picks them up. And
I like that episode, and I was gonna bring it up, but I like that episode because we get closure on the character. Because before Hank blew up, and then that was it. And then the next episode we just kind of moved on, and it was like
like Dawn leaves and goes to Paris, and the rest of them just kind of have to keep doing what they're doing.
Everybody was sad, but it was like, and now we're mad. We're even more mad at Jason. Like, but it just kind of like, all right, I guess we're moving on. But that episode was closure to that character, which I feel like we really needed for Hank's character. Like, it was, he had his like sacrificial moment at the end where he actually, instead of dying like the way he did, he actually got to die the hero. And then he reunited with his brother, which is awesome.
They find the bridge to get back to the real world, and like he gets Tim and Donna across it, and he keeps fighting off the ghouls and keeps pushing them back so that they can escape, and even does a heroic, tell Donna I loved her thing, and Hank, of course being Hank, fights them off and manages to clear the bridge, which of course he did. And then like he comes out, and if you've not seen the show, like Don, his partner, isn't the first dove. His brother Donnie actually was. And he comes off the bridge, and standing there is Donnie, and he actually reunites with his brother, and the two of them basically go to be what Hank was trying to do, go and be heroes in this wilderness and help people that are fighting these creatures and struggling. And it's a really cool kind of send off for the character, and basically a new chapter for his life.
Yeah.
And it's like,
which was a great ending to his character, which I think the actor was like wanting to be done with the show. And so that was, I have to say, that was, if you have to like, we get no more Hank ever again, that was, I'm fine. I'm satisfied with it.
It's sad that we probably won't get Hank again in season 4, but I like how he went out. He went out on a good note, and I'm happy with that.
And if they ever choose to bring his character back for any reason whatsoever, they have a way they could technically do it, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
So I hope they don't, though, because I like the way, as much as I like the character, I like the way they sent him off and he was done. Like they wrapped his character up and it was perfect.
Speaking of other characters that come back, though, Donna does make it across the bridge, and Donna does make it back. We get the whole random episode, which was one of my least favourite, of Raven basically being on Themyscira.
Oh yeah.
Try to teach her how to be an Amazon, and like, but all she wanted to do.
Stack these rocks.
And I thought we were going to get like a nice training moment, a nice teaching moment, because she is still learning her powers, and she's now she's gotten to the teenage moment of like, I know how to use these, I'm all powerful, and I'm like, no, you're not. You're still learning. You still don't actually know how to use these properly. And I thought we were going to get some cool training moments with that, and we just didn't.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen, and I love the fact as well she's been there trying to resurrect Donna this whole time, and then she just goes in and Donna's gone. Yeah. Donna didn't even go and grab her and go back to the mainland with her. She just took off. She like woke up and just got off the island and just left. It was like, okay. But they tried to push this whole thing of like Donna learning how to be a leader. And like she's leading like this little rebellion of like normal people against the Crane's corrupt cops, and it's like, it felt very random.
It was.
It felt very random.
It was the B plot.
And then she becomes like she goes to become an agent of Argus, because as we kind of mentioned, like Barbara's like right hand V at the police station is actually an Argus agent, and she gives her a card to like basically hire her on to come and work with Argus. Like, hey, we can use you now since you're technically dead. And it's like, okay, that's how we're writing Donna out. You had a really good write out for her to not show up next season again. With the whole her being dead thing. But I guess if you want to bring her back and still not have her dead for some reason,
it was a good way to keep that. Which I don't think they need this big old team. The Titans don't need like 9 members. They need like.
I think we've shut the door properly. Like with Hank dying and Dawn leaving and Donna now going there. Like I think we've shut the door on the old Titans, and now we can do the stuff with the new Titans. So you've got like Dick, and you've got Tim and Starfire and Raven and Gar, and Superboy, and it's like there's your team. That's at 6. I think that's 6, and it's like, that's enough. That's okay. We can do this season just with them. We don't need to see the others pop up, unless like Donna pops up for an episode
or unless they decide to bring Rose back.
Rose
is waiting in San Francisco.
Just mention her. Just like mention the girl. Like, oh, she decided I'm not going to go on this trip and didn't realize the Titans were just going to disappear for like a year to go to Gotham.
I actually kind of liked her character too, so it's like
there was nice character development, and I thought, okay, she could be an interesting dynamic. Nope.
Yeah. Nope. Done. We're done with that.
All right.
But the way that it ended, we see
Did you like
Crane's in jail.
Did you like the match? No. Before we get to that.
What part?
Before we get to that, we need to get to the fact of Crane's big plan is to recreate something from before that he did, and it's a set of fear toxin all over the city. Jason turns on him, like he's got the police in his pocket and all this. He's running Gotham. Basically, have you seen The Dark Knight Rises? It's Bane's story from The Dark Knight Rises. He's running Gotham.
That's
He's
the
putting
exact
bombs all over the
story.
city. He's got the police in his
Exact
pocket.
story.
It's literally that. So the Titans. Okay, we talked about the Lazarus Pit and the fact the Lazarus Pit steals a part of you, but yet somehow Dick comes back and is fine. He recruits Jason, gets someone to sign, tries to give him his redemptive moment. So he comes and he helps, kind of. He beats up guys while Gar does what he's doing at Wayne Manor so they can take on Crane. But the fear toxins have been released. People have been killing each other in the street. How are we going to possibly help the city? Magic Crane. We are going to use the water from the Lazarus Pit. We're going to use our power, Starfire and Raven's ability, to lift it into the air and to turn it into a storm and rain.
Silly. They literally couldn't do anything else.
Dead people
so silly.
were lying on the streets of Gotham and started getting up because it's Lazarus Pit water.
It's such a cop-out. It was such a cop-out.
I'm fine. Magic rain brought people back to life. That's not how a Lazarus Pit works.
Yeah,
you can't just use it and rain it on the city and the city's fine.
The way they did it was so silly. I was like, really? This is what we're doing?
I know it's a comic book show, but like it was too comic booky for a comic book show.
I guess.
That wasn't even Deus Ex Machina. That was just like a right whatever. We need an ending to this show. And then from there it ends in such a bizarre way. Because like okay, they lock up Crane.
Mm-hmm.
And like Raven like funnels all like the nightmares and negative thoughts that go into the Lazarus Pit into him. Don't question it, it's a thing. Don't ask questions. We don't ask questions in this show.
Why do I still like this show, Cross? Why I don't understand why I still like it. I don't know. I don't get it.
Batman Returns.
I don't know.
Batman Returns after like an E-plot of him like randomly being at a castle on a mountain and trying to burn it down with him inside, and then Donna, some reason, ends up there and saves him.
With like, why? Like,
literally had no point.
Unnecessary.
But then the last episode, he shows back up, and he shows back up as if, and we're all kind of like just calm, like nothing happened. Like I get we can't say anything to him because it was just like he went on a business trip, so like Batman killed Joker, not Bruce Wayne technically. But he just shows up and like Dick doesn't even mention it to him.
Yeah.
Hey, you kind of lost your mind and killed somebody.
For this season, I feel like the writers didn't really. They're like, we need Red Hood, but then they promoted it. They're like, we're doing Red Hood. This is gonna be awesome. We're gonna write Red Hood. Oh, this is fantastic. And then they start it and they're like, we don't really have much of a story that we could write. So let's just bring in all of this nonsense and all this other stuff that we don't necessarily need.
This had the potential to be the best season ever.
It could have been awesome, but
because the Under the Red Hood comic and Under the Red Hood animated movie are two of the most popular like things out there Batman wise. Like it's an amazing story and you had the chance to portray that in the Titans show and you just didn't. Like Bruce comes back and then does a whole thing with Dick and they don't even talk about it, and then he kind of talks to Jason and basically gives Jason his forgiveness, and they're like, and I never even noticed it up until the moment of he's walking out and he asks him like, did you kill Joker for me? And he goes, yeah. He says, thank you. And he walks away. And I'm like, right there. That's the missing conflict between Red Hood and Batman. That's it right there, because I talked about it to you if you watch the Under the Red Hood or if you read the comic. Like, he goes off at Batman like, you didn't know I was alive. I know why you didn't comfort me. Why is he still alive? He literally murdered me. And he's murdered millions.
Yeah.
Why is he still alive? And like, and in this show, it's just kind of like, I murdered him. I'm like, okay, thank you, and we're moving. And I'm like, was there? Brain hurt.
But overall, just kind of looking at the season, Cross, the second season was still my favorite. The third, episodes were just hit and misses. There was, like I was saying before at the beginning, there was some that I was like, oh, like the Souls episode with the with Hank was
There were some
awesome. The one
great
where Hank died.
episodes.
Basically, I like the ones with Hank. All right.
Yeah, Hank's a
and,
great
like,
character. I'm not arguing with you on that. Hank was a phenomenal character.
But a lot of this season makes me a little bit nervous for season 4. I am a little bit nervous because I'm like, okay, they're going back. What are we gonna do?
Yeah, I don't see what the plan is for this one. I
have a feeling. I'm gonna. If I'm right, I'm gonna be excited. If I'm wrong, then I'm gonna be like, well, why did they do that? But I have a feeling we're gonna see Brother Blood.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
I have a feeling we're gonna see Brother Blood coming soon.
Brother Blood would be. That would honestly make sense for where the story would go next. In terms of
the Hive and that.
In terms of Titans villains, like yeah.
That I have a feeling is what we're gonna get, and if we don't get it next season, then I don't know.
If it's not next season, it has to be coming soon. Like it has to be.
Yeah.
Because I get why they did like Under the Red Hood story now because they had to get Jason Todd out of there, and I'm assuming that actor's probably moving on to do some other stuff. And kudos to him. I hope he gets some good jobs out of it. He's a good actor.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Brother Blood's probably the most likely thing. Which is
a fun story. And I'm just basing that honestly, not even on because I've never even read any of the comics with that. I'm basing that on the animated show when we had Brother Blood and Hive, and it was awesome.
Yeah, Brother Blood is a big Titans villain, so like yeah,
live
I think
action. Oh my goodness, I'm getting excited now talking about it. Hopefully we hear some news soon. But it's a great show, folks. If you haven't seen it, go give it a watch. I mean, I'm assuming if you're here for spoilers, then. Yeah, but
yeah, I would definitely check it out. There's a lot of good moments to it. Go into it with an open mind that some of the stuff isn't going to hit on point. Some of the episodes, some of the characters, some of the storyline elements that are amazing. The choreography and the fighting is phenomenal.
Costumes.
The costumes are on point. That's probably one of the best things about the show is like they look like they're out the comic. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoy Titans. And kind of like you, I've got this weird thing of like I'm not entirely sure why. Like, we just ripped apart season 3, and I'm like, but at the same time, I'd still recommend to check it out. There's still some good points to it. It's like, there's still some good moments, and you know what? I feel like in this show, they take risks with the storytelling and the changing things, and I always appreciate a show that's willing to take risks and try something new, especially in comics, because comics have this tendency of being very circular. And going back to the start and back to where they were with superheroes, like so to try some new stuff and trying different ways of telling the story, I do appreciate that. But yeah, I think I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it for us.
Ready to see more
Titans, for sure. And we'll try and get Kaleb back on. I think when we get a season 4 and we're both able to binge through that, I think we'll need to get you back on to talk about the next season.
To talk about Brother Blood because it's coming, dang it.
Yeah, we're calling it now. Kaleb has called it Brother Blood for season 4.
I'm calling it. If it doesn't happen, I'm going to be writing them.
Yeah, right. And I was like, dude, Brother Blood, you better be doing Brother Blood soon. Brother Blood. But yeah, a massive thank you. We're hitting that 2 hour mark. So a massive thank you to Kaleb. We're going to start doing a little bit of a wrap up. Again, Kaleb from Mountain Nerds Podcast. For anyone who wasn't here at the start, if you want to do another little pitch of your stuff, where can they find you, Kaleb? Where can they get all your stuff?
You can find me on all socials. You can find me on Twitter at Nerds Mountain, on Instagram at Mountain Nerds Pod, and on Facebook at Mountain Nerds Podcast. I stream pretty regularly on Sundays, except for this Sunday. I'm actually taking a little bit of break this afternoon. Well, I say that, and I'm probably going to wind up streaming anyway, but I usually stream around 7:30. I'm
sorry, can I just laugh at the video that popped up for you? As a freaking stream starting soon. Like, who the heck clipped stream starting soon for you? That is amazing.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. But, we do a lot of different types of games. Hopefully, my PlayStation's coming in. I don't know if it may actually be here. But I will, and I should cross this. I will be hopefully starting this game pretty soon. That's Spider-Man. I'm going to be playing the remastered on stream because I want to play Miles Morales by myself because I'm going to want to play like more than just a few hours of Miles Morales at a time. So, definitely check us out. And we do our podcast. We have a new episode coming out Friday. We're doing a Ted Lasso spoiler cast with Scott Higa from the Christian Nerd. Make sure to check that one out. And check out some of our past episodes. We have We did a couple themed episodes. We did one on just thankfulness. We did several different episodes regarding we do like a hybrid hero series, which is really fun, where we come smash together two heroes and see who would win in a fight.
Nice.
But yeah, we do stuff like that, and you could find our podcast wherever you listen.
Awesome. Definitely go and check this man out. As I said at the start, like, Kaleb is a good friend of ours here at Comics in the Cross.
Cross one time called me. I'm the hidden member of Comics in the Cross.
It legit is, like, he's here all the time. Between him and Locke, like, the two of them are on this show. Like, generally, if we're doing a game on a Sunday, like, and we're not on the podcast, it's like generally they're the ones that are in chat with us. Like, almost like 9 times out of 10, it's both of them. So yeah, go and check out Kaleb's stuff. Go and check out his Twitch channel. I put the link in there with the shout out. Go and check out. He does more than starting soon streams. Just,
Yeah,
Just-
a little
just
bit
so
more
you're
than
aware.
that. We played I Am Fish last week, and we actually do. We are one other thing that I forgot to mention. We do an RPG stream as well. So we do. Excuse me, forgive my screaming kids in the background, but we do an RPG stream every other week. We are on a little bit of a break right now, but we are picking that back up in January, and it's called the Glass Hollow Tales. All of our characters in the it's if you're familiar with D&D, we use the 5e game mechanic, and we are actually we have all of our players are actually streamers from across different whether streamers or podcasters. Cross has actually gave us a voice cameo. Hopefully we can actually get him on the show soon when we pick up in January. But if you're really interested in listening to our RPG stream, go back and listen to it. I put it in podcast form, so it's called the Glass Hollow Tales. Go check it out. We have a blast doing that. So
Absolutely. It's been a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to kind of guest voice that, because we do this on a Sunday. Like, Sunday nights are usually time with the family, so it's hard for me to get on there. Otherwise I would be on playing it as well. But like, it's been absolutely fun to kind of hear what the guys are doing with it and where the story's going for it, and to get the chance to voice one of the characters in there, which is absolutely fun. And I would love to actually get involved.
And it is a space theme. I forgot to mention this. It is space theme as well. So instead of just regular D&D where it's the old like fantasy setting, this is a sci-fi setting, which is even more like fun to me.
Yeah, if you're a fan of sci-fi stuff, definitely check it out. It's a lot of fun just moving it to that, and you've got a great group of guys that are playing it as well.
Oh yeah,
absolutely awesome group that's part of it. So definitely check them out. And for us at Comics in the Cross, coming up this week, we also have Jay will be back tomorrow night, jumping into, I believe she's starting Bioshock 2 tomorrow. After completing Bioshock on stream, we're finally going to get into some Bioshock 2. I will be back on Tuesday morning playing a little bit more Batman Arkham Asylum. I did attempt to do it last Tuesday, and then my house flooded, so this week we will actually be getting back into it. And then on Tuesday night, I believe Nitro will be back with a little bit of artwork, continuing his work on his TMNT piece. To do a little shout out for the podcast, we've got our December schedule is already set. Next week we will be back at 2 o'clock doing our indie comic book club, looking at Usagi Yojimbo from Stan Sakai. Basically, most people will know this anthropomorphic rabbit from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon in various forms. He is showing up, but we've got a little bit of the artwork and stuff, but old school black and white. This one here is like 1986, 1987. So he put these comics out back when I was born, pretty much. So, I had been reading through this. It's absolutely fun. This is an old school classic, right up Nitro's alley. He loves samurai stuff. So this is a Christmas special for him, doing a book that he was really going to enjoy, and so make sure you do not miss that. Also, as well, just to do a shout out, thank you for everyone who came last week when we did our special panel, when we were talking with Terminus Media and our amazing group of guests. But we actually have another one coming up on the 12th, as I throw it up on screen, where we'll be doing another multi-stream, and we have a bunch of new guests, so keep an eye on social media for us talking about that and going into all of our different guests coming. So we're actually going to be doing that on the 12th. Starting in the new year, they're not going to be quite as frequent, but this one was already getting booked by the time we did the last one, and we realised how crazy and chaotic they were going to be. So we thought, hey, let's not do them every month because we have lives, and this takes all of the time that we have. So make sure you join us for that on the 12th, and then actually we are going to be finishing out our year with our Spider-Man No Way Home review on the 19th. We are planning to try and go see it that Saturday and then review it on the Sunday, and then from the 19th, I think we're going to do our streams that week, but from the following Sunday we are actually going to be off, going through Christmas, and actually Comics to the Cross is going to be taking January off. We are not going to be doing our podcast, we are not going to be streaming, we are going to take a break, we're going to rejuvenate, we're going to get a little bit of rest and relaxation, connect with the families, and we're going to come back bigger, stronger in February. So keep an eye on social medias and Discord. We'll try and stay active there and keep you all up to date with all of that. But thank you so much to everyone who came and hang out with us. Let's have a quick look on Twitch and see who is there we can drop a raid on. If there's anyone that you see that you'd recommend, Kaleb, by all means. I don't even know who's online right now. That's the thing with Sundays, like, try to raid people is like really hard because like, a lot of people aren't actually on. Like, a lot of people you connect with.
I know First Geek is on. They're playing some Last of Us. Let's see who else.
Yeah.
That's it.
Gamingly Challenged is on. I don't think we've raided them, so we can do Gamingly Challenged. Because I try not do One Geek as frequently because like they're literally our go-to if there's no one else like every week. No, it's like that's the thing. Like everyone goes, "Oh yeah, One Geek's on." I'm like, "Yeah, we raid One Geek a lot on Sundays because of that," and I try to diversify it. So it's like I try not do them every week because I want to try and like spread out and see other people. So I think we're going to go and raid Gamingly Challenge. So if you are in chat, hang out. They're not a family-friendly streamer as far as I'm aware, so just be aware of that. I'm pretty sure we weren't family-friendly at points today with the show, but yeah, he's definitely not safe for work streamer lock. But yeah, he's an amazing dude. He's came and raided us and showed us some love, so I think it's about time we go and show him some love. But again, thank you to Kaleb for coming and joining us today on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure as always, sir. Thank you so much to all of the Comic Clan, and remember, come back tomorrow night, join Jay, 8:30 Eastern Time for some Bioshock 2. And remember, it is a good week to be a geek. Take care, and we'll see you all soon.
Bye.
Cierra miedo.